And welcome to a brand new life, to a brand new day, all the way from the wastelands of California. My name is Michael, and I'll be your designated driver this evening. I look forward to once again serve you those sounds of salvation. First time listeners, turn on, tune in, and drop out. This is a very different kind of show, a place where we don't feel so alone. Let us chase away the light no matter what you at home choose to believe. I do admire you for your curiosity. Live and direct right now on YouTube and the TuneIn Radio app. You can find the podcast rendition of this program by searching End of Days on all popular media platforms or simply typing Michael Deacon. For those new in attendance, let me remind you that my name is Michael Deacon and I am the host of this glorious program, often imitated, but never duplicated. We've got a full house yet again here tonight. My guest this evening is Dr. Michael Aquino. He is best known as the founder of the Temple of Set, former original member of the Church of Satan, the author of several books that are considered essential worldwide. Also joining us this evening as a co-host is Mr. E.A. Koetting. He draws assignment here tonight, and I thank him for that. And of course, on the second half of the program, the return of the Florida correspondent, live and direct and in the building, all coming up on the second half. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing me into your hearts and into your minds. Here we are again on a night like this. Thank you to those in America for supporting the program, and also those outside of America. And what a week it's been, boys and girls. Tonight we will definitely be a bit of a rattlesnake, folks. I'm a bit tongue twisted here. We've got a plethora of topics here to dissect. And I also want to give my condolences to the families affected by yet another not a school shooting, but yet another shooting. This time in El Paso, Texas, if I recall correctly. Lots of listeners out there. Hope you are fine. Same goes to those nice folks out there at the Gilroy Garlic Festival. Terrible. Now, of course, don't just sit back behind your keyboards or mobile devices. Put them to use. If you have any questions, call in here tonight. That number is 760-332-8724. One more time, 760-332-8724. Now let's get down to brass tacks and bring in Mr. E.A. Koetting, who should be live and ready to go. Eric, are you there?
Yes, I am, sir.
Fantastic. Now let's bring in the doctor himself. Doctor, are you there now? Uh-oh, we might have lost him already. We might have lost our guest already. Isn't that terrible?
He was there. I did hear his voice for a moment.
I think we lost him during the intro there. I think I might have accidentally kicked him off when we were doing the intro there. Don't worry, boys and girls. I'll bring him back on right now. What's going on with you, Eric? Tell the listeners about yourself.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I couldn't be more blessed at the moment to be able to, like I said, even have heard Dr. Aquino's voice for even just a moment. He has influenced my life and my path in so many ways in opening the door for the Prince of Darkness to enter into this world. And there really is what his work has been, what my work is, and I'd really like to get some of his thoughts on what he can pass to me as far as where he thinks we ought to be pushing this. There's a huge movement of black magicians, of sorcerers, of witches that are out there that are amassing and coming together through the internet and gathering and listening to shows like these to look for inspiration. We've got the knowledge, we've got the information, but the next step is to what's the inspiration? What should we be aiming towards? And I think Dr. Aquino's got more answers to that than just about anybody on this planet.
Yes, and of course I'm calling him right now, and we'll see what goes on. Hopefully he picks up this time. Last time we had a bit of trouble. But, that happens when you're trying to do a live show. And I'm not sure what's going on here. He was just here, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. Still calling.
Okay.
Yes, don't worry, boys and girls. Sit tight. Hope everyone is doing okay here tonight. Very strange that we're having these technical issues here tonight, boys and girls.
It is interesting, and one of the things that I hope to be able to speak to Dr. Aquino about is the evolution of technology and how that ties into the agenda of the Temple of Set and of his own work. I know that he started a lot of things that are still carrying forward. He put a lot of things in motion that are still in motion, and I would really like his take on the merger of magic and machine.
Oh yes, I'm with you on that one. And it seems like those in the chat room are not going to go anywhere just yet. And I thank you for that. Definitely stick tight, hold on tight here, and buckle up as we try to get Dr. Aquino back on the line here. And as Eric said, he was just here a minute ago.
He was. I can attest to it. Not only did I hear his voice, I felt his power. There's a unique thing when you connect with somebody, even over the internet, even through a chat name, you can see somebody and look into them.
And this time we have a ring.
Third time is lucky.
Yes, third time is the charm. And Doctor, welcome back to the program. I'm not quite sure what happened there. It seems like the intro threw us off.
Well, the number of international and federal agencies who are probably monitoring this interview probably overwhelmed the circuits.
That's probably what happened. And as soon as I called, I said I was the FBI.
Right, and everybody chimes in and says, "Hey, wait, we were supposed to monitor this. No, we were. Get off the line. You're screwing us up."
Oh, yes. So, Doctor, I'm so glad you are here. It's always an honor and privilege to get a chance to speak to you. And of course, I'm not joined here alone. We are also joined by another soul, E.A. Koetting, or as I just call him, Eric.
Hey.
Oh, which part of the FBI is he from?
Yeah, good question. What part of the FBI are you from, Eric?
What part of the FBI am I from?
Yeah, what branch?
Yeah,
Okay.
Who do you work for, Eric?
I have one straight answer to that, and that is I do not cooperate with authorities. That is one thing, Miss Dr. Aquino. I have to take my hat off to you with how you handled dealing with the authorities, even when you were at the height of your persecution. I don't know that I could have had the patience and the wherewithal to stand up against those lies with the kind of fortitude and the kind of patience that you displayed. Absolutely amazing. And not only did you win your case, you won our case. You opened the door for the Prince of Darkness to enter this world.
Well, the funny thing about a question like that is that oftentimes when I've been asked for explanations of either myself or my interests by people in positions of authority or who are investigating something, is that if I give them an honest, straight answer, they'll either run out the door screaming or have a panic attack in some other way on the or just look at me mystified. So I have to, before I answer questions like that, I have to do a quick analysis of the person and say, now, how much of it can this person handle? It's a little bit like that A Few Good Men movie, where what's his name is saying, "We want the truth," and Jack Nicholson says, "You can't handle the truth."
That's right.
And I sometimes am tempted to give out with a good Jack Nicholson, in response to some things, but I've tried to be as courteous as I can over the years and let people down gently.
Let people down gently. Well, and that is the beautiful thing is your ability to clearly understand what your knowledge is. You have a very specific, very, very interesting knowledge set, and your ability to recall that and to make all the pieces fit together is something of a spectacle, and at the same time has been a torch that's lit the way for me on my road for sure. I can't give you enough thanks and compliments for not only who you are as a person, but also the work that you've done, the explosion of interest in the occult has never been as intense as it is right now, and that was a spark that you ignited, really, and so I thank you. And I wonder, what are your thoughts as you look at the current state of the occult online? I know that you're active in a couple groups.
That's a great question, by the way.
Well, the first thing that occurs to me, which is probably reflects my academic experiences as much as anything else, is that we're dealing with a generation of people who tend to be very skilled in keyboard manipulation of information. Who can go online and Google anything really fast and get quick answers to anything. But what we also have is the same generation has not had the benefits of a really rigorous individual education in terms of personal learning, the ability to distinguish validity from non-validity, and sort of what you might say the experience of making mistakes and not making mistakes and developing a careful learning experience process from this. So we get a lot of very, very, very credulous, very naive people who are searching for pat answers and who get very impatient very quickly when they don't get something with the speed of a Google search as a response. It used to be that if you asked a complicated question, you might have to spend years trying to work up the answer. And in the same process, you were, of course, using your own skills to separate good information from bad information, so that when you finally found a solution that satisfied you, it wasn't bullshit. It was valid, hopefully.
Right.
So today, we have, as I said, a hyper-skilled keyboard generation of people, but who are very, very naive and unskilled in terms of their ability to do mental research and evaluation, because they haven't really had the kind of secondary school and college education that they should. Because what passes for secondary school and college today is all too often, again, a sort of streamlined, cutthroat scramble for job openings and job qualifications without bothering with such things as personal refined education. And that I also learned when I spent several years in the 1980s as a college professor, as adjunct professor of political science at Golden Gate University. And I was teaching upper division political science, American foreign policy, international relations, and political theory, and European cultural history. And as often as not, when I would start out these courses, I would have to spend the first several class sessions just teaching people how to think and how to absorb and process the information that I was trying to convey to them. It wasn't just, copy this down and then blurt it back. Then you don't learn anything. You don't understand this. You have to, if I'm talking about Plato or Aristotle or Thomas Aquinas or Machiavelli, it isn't just enough to just sort of be able to regurgitate this stuff. You have to enter the brains and the souls of these people and look out and see reality the way they did and understand it and be able to evaluate that for yourself to decide, well, where was this guy right? Where was he wrong? And how do I know? So the teaching of that kind of thinking was a sort of a crash course that I had to do. And when you ask a question about something like, quote unquote, the occult, if I asked most people to say, well, what do you mean by the occult? They'd say, well, ghosts, demons, witches, parapsychology, ESP, remote viewing or something.
UFOs,
and they'd flounder around.
UFOs.
And I would say, try this one out. The occult is subject material that people aren't sure of the answers to, but they're afraid to ask questions about because they'll sound like they're being dorky if they ask those kinds of questions. All right? And therefore, it's a little different from saying, how do I get from North Beach to the Golden Gate Bridge? Well, I can tell you that's a sensible question. But what's a black mass supposed to do? Well, that's a little more complicated.
Right.
And also, a person feels strange for asking a question like, why do you want to know that? What is the problem? What is this business about sex with goats, in satanic rituals? Well, the only trouble with them is that you have to run around, after having had sex with a goat, you have to run around to the front to kiss it.
Yeah, that sounds tiring.
Yeah. So the sort of going back to that initial question again, I am where I am for actually a very simple reason, that I've always been a very curious person, and I wanted to figure out who and what I am and who and what is my environment, what I'm doing here, what, if anything, I should be doing here, and where do I, what does this make sense to me in terms of where I should be trying to go or get from here. And those kinds of questions have driven my whole life. And they didn't necessarily take me into the occult. They also took me into my work with the government and with the military and with political science and academia, and of course with first conventional religions and then alternatives such as atheisms and agnosticisms and existentialisms and of course the early forms of occultism that I looked into that were organized, such as the Church of Satan.
Yes, Michael, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I must say,
Go ahead.
yes, but I must say, and I'm only doing this because we jumped ahead. We're having such a great time in the intro there, but I must say, welcome back to the program. Thank you for sharing some of your time with all of us this evening. And I'm directing that comment to both you, Doctor, and Eric here. I'm glad both of you are here. And I do want to remind both of you that this is an open discussion and both of you are free to say anything you want. You can agree or disagree with all things here. And Michael, it's always such a fun time to chat with you. And same with Eric. It's so great to have both of you here. I'm glad that we have been able to come together here this evening. And Michael, I have to say, out of all the people I've interviewed, you are the one that's generated the most heat for me personally.
Good. That means it's a good discussion. If
No
everybody
doubt.
falls asleep and doesn't care, then that's bad. But if everybody gets angry and pissed off and then starts leaving you death threats and slashing your tires and stuff, then that's good.
That's what I want.
That's a success, yes.
Yes, right. and I have had that happen already, Michael, and it's not a problem to me at all. I don't mind it. I think it's actually kind of thrilling at times. But yes, lots of heat has been generated by the simple fact that I've allowed you to be on the program as many times as I have. Even those who have been very loyal to me have been very angry with my choice of having you on here. But
well, that makes you probably an honorary firefighter. You know what they say about firefighters?
What's that?
We find them hot and leave them wet.
But I love it though, Michael. I have to say, I like the sort of response, good and bad. It just lets me know that people are listening, and I appreciate that. And you're someone who I've always said on this program that is extremely intelligent, and you could learn a lot from everyone and anyone, but especially you, Doctor.
Well, thank you. I mean, that's sort of what I try to do. If my idea of success in interviews and chats like this is that I'm not going to try to make somebody over into my opinions or my image. I don't know enough about individuals in your audience. I don't even know who they are out there, but I know that there are questioning minds out there who say, all right, what is this dude got to say? What's Eric got to say? What's the announcer got to say that I should pay attention to that might improve me or interest me in some way? And if we come back, the three of us, with good answers to that, then we justify our time here. We're not just masturbating one another, which wastes everybody's time.
Yes, unfortunately.
To go ahead and jump in there, thank you. And I'd like to ask you then, because I do feel that the work you've done on many fronts has put into effect changes that are still taking place, that I am benefiting from, that those of us that are pursuing Satanism and are pursuing the occult, or even just pursuing interest in all of those weird topics, you've definitely emboldened and invigorated us, and so with that, if you were to meet yourself today, the world has changed entirely from when you were young. If you were to meet yourself today as a young man, what would be the advice you would give in going forward? Specifically, my interest is definitely in the pursuit of the Prince of Darkness.
Well, again, sort of harking back to what I said a little earlier, the first criterion that occurs to me when I meet young people today is I try to get an idea, as I did in my college classes teaching, of how good a grounding do they have in their own intellect and using their own brains? How well can they process thoughts and distinguish good from bad, truth from fiction, right from wrong? how how disciplined is their thinking process, which is, again, this kind of skill should be taught in grammar school, in secondary school, in high school, and in undergraduate college. And today it simply isn't. We've sort of zipped through to an iPhone culture where everybody just sort of taps out stuff and expects and androgynous or whatever it is, intelligence to come back with a snap answer. So I want to see how well a person can think and argue and put together their thoughts. And then, if the person needs it, my first advice is, for God's sake, find yourself a good college or city college or whatever it is, and get yourself educated. And I don't mean learning computer science or something. I mean, get yourself into the humanities and learn how to process information. Take some courses in philosophy, in psychology, in political science, even in Western literature, where people debate and discuss these things, so that you can see your brain exercise in processing information, so that you can make good decisions. And that may take you a couple of years, and yes, it's slow, and yes, it may be deliberative, but it's absolutely essential, because otherwise you'll just be the fool and the stooge of whoever is trying to manipulate you through the rest of your life. And you won't even be able to formulate the important questions because you can't think that well. There's a point in George Orwell's 1984 where the philologist, a friend of Winston Smith's, is telling Winston Smith that the Newspeak dictionary that he's working on for their totalitarian society is successful because it's getting thinner every year. He says, we're just removing words and concepts that people don't need to know anymore. And once the word is gone, people won't even be able to think thought crime anymore because there won't be words to express it. So we will wind up with a society of people who can only think what the party dictates for them to think. All too often, when I hear supposed political discussions or debates or news programs today, that's the kind of discussion that I hear going on. We just finished a couple of nights of these Democratic hopefuls to be the next president of the United States supposedly debating each other.
Right.
And all we got was, a few hours of sound bites and pot shots at one another. No discussion of national philosophy, no discussion of human dignity or of the sort of the cause of the United States, what it should do internationally, almost nothing on foreign affairs, nothing about the crises that are brought up in human relationships, but when you come up with these issues such as national sovereignty versus controlled borders and so on. All it was a sort of a free-for-all mud throw of how much freebie stuff can I get from this person, or how much freebie stuff can I get from that person, or you told a lie and I caught you with your pants down.
We jumped ahead here again, but that's okay. Let's get into that. The second debate did wrap up, as you saw, Michael, and it drew incredibly low ratings, even though I could care less about the ratings. I did get a chance to watch some of it, but barely any of it. And I did. And
I'm not letting President Trump off either, because he's an expert at what he tweets. Can you imagine 50 years ago if you said we're going to have a president in the United States eventually who runs this country with quips, and people would look at you and say, you're crazy. The White House, the Oval Office, doesn't operate on soundbite quips like that. And yet here we are. So we live in a sort of an area where the insane asylum, where the inmates are running the asylum.
Amazing.
And
yes, go ahead, Eric.
That's what you and I have to fight here.
Yes, sir.
I wonder, from your background in using psychological warfare tactics, I can only imagine what you must be thinking as you're watching specifically today's political stage unfold. I mean, it is all psychological warfare at this point, and no substance behind it.
Yeah, but this is primitive psychological warfare. This isn't even a challenge. Back when I was working in this stuff I spent 40 years in this field in the military and the government. I took my first PSYOP course at Fort Bragg as an officer cadet back in 1969, and I've been in the field constantly since then. I'm probably without preening myself, I'm probably the smartest person in the United States, if not the world, in the area of psychological operations and what I call mind war. And I don't say that as a conceit. I just say that as a person who's been around the block and around the block and around the block, so that this stuff is like an old pair of Levi's.
Right.
At this point, to me, that fits my body when I just put my legs in them. Anyway, the answer is that what we're looking at today is the direct result of this kind of a stupid audience that we have, that I've been whining and bashing my head against the wall about for the last 15 minutes, because people today don't expect or want more than that kind of thing. They want, oh, what's it going to give to me? How's it going to cost? And usually they don't even say, well, Bernie Sanders says he's going to give me everything for free, but he doesn't say that it's going to cost me something that I can't afford, so I guess I'll vote for him so I can get everything for free. And, when you hear something like that, and I heard it from a friend of mine who I've known for 50 years last night, who admires the guy and believes him, and Elizabeth Warren, for the same thing. And I'm saying, good God, did you just fall off the turnip truck? There is no free lunch. You get something, somebody pays for it. Either you pay for it or somebody else does, or it isn't there. So, but we seem to live in an environment where this kind of counter argument, this kind of response, just sort of bounces off people's heads. And that's scary to me. So the second part is I'm sort of going back to the question that was tossed at me a few paragraphs ago before I went on this rant. First, I want a person today to get a good sound education, by meaning he or she has good sound judgment qualities, who can take some information and then chew it up and make it make sense to him or not, and be able to argue and present it back. And then secondly, I want all that's needed is for the person's curiosity, like mine, to be genuine and say, okay, I think I understand the society that I'm in, the economic situation that I'm in, the family situation that I'm in. And my big issue now is, well, what do I do with myself? Do I get interested in just making money and then dying? And then everything is a big black sack and that's it? Or should I look at my existence as something that's much more interesting and complex? And should I be trying to find out about that? And maybe making some sense out of that. And then I said, okay, now we're talking about what the occult should be. And this is what conventional religion used to be trying to tell people, and saying, well, we've got a package answer for you here, because we all got it written down. It's in the Bible here, or it's in the Torah, or it's in the Bhagavad Gita, or it's in the Tao Te Ching, or whatever. And that's all you need to know. All you need to know is you'll be okay. And then you'll either go to heaven, or you'll be reincarnated, and or something else like that. Or if you're an atheist or an agnostic, well, you just croak and that's it, and goodbye. So when I was a kid, I was growing up, I was hearing stuff like that, and I was saying, I don't buy this. It doesn't make sense. It's not good enough. I think I'm being sold a bag of goods here, and I have a certain amount of time. I need to figure out what's real, what's really going on, what's happening, who's calling the shots, what is it with me? What is this thing called Michael Aquino, and what is it doing? What should it be doing? What do I need to find out? So once I had the able to formulate the question for myself, then it was just a question of sort of pounding the pavement to get the answers, and that's what I've been doing ever since. And when I see a person who says, well, I'm interested in the cult, I said, good. That means you're dissatisfied with what you understand about reality and you want the answers to what's really going on. So we're back in the courtroom, and instead of my just saying, you can't handle the truth, I'm saying, okay, go out and find it. And if my books and my writings and my ravings on interviews like this help people to be able to go out and find stuff out that helps them, then we're talking, then we're cooking, then we're getting somewhere.
Right. And of course, I did see Joe Biden getting buried out there. What are your thoughts on good old Joe Biden?
Joe Biden's a career politician who you put a dime in his ear and he plays a song for you. He's a political jukebox. I mean, all of them right now that you see up there are political jukeboxes. They want your votes so they can get to power and either make some more money or just enjoy having power, which they like to control people's lives because that's the way they measure their success. And they will do and say anything to do that. All they want to know is what audience are they talking to? What buttons can they push? Do they think? Right now it's racism. Trump got into a pissing contest with the Fab Four or whatever it was a week or so ago about whether or not he liked what they were saying, and either they or the press or whoever, somebody said, "Oh, racism." So now we've been hearing racism ever since then.
Yeah.
And most people out there in the real world, they don't know what the heck they should think of, except that racism is sort of like saying Nazism, or in my generation it was communism, or something like that. And therefore, a racist, he's bad. You can't be a racist. And I keep, every once in a while, just to poke people, I say, well, look, what's the matter with being a racist? We've got what? We've got reds, we've got yellows, we've got whites, we've got blacks, we've got browns. What's the matter with deciding that your particular color is kind of neat to be a member of and enjoying it? And that includes white as well as anybody else. So what's the matter with being a white racist? As long as you are polite about it and take pride in yourself and what your race has accomplished. Oh my God! And I said, you gotta say, grow up. I said, white people have been doing stuff on the planet for a long time. So have black people. So have brown people. Well, you guys, you went out and conquered the rest of the world and you stole everything from everybody. Yeah, well, everybody who's living on any land right now or owns any property got it from somebody else or inherited it from somebody else. And if you track it down long enough, somebody beat somebody else over the head and stole it.
Yes, that's very true.
When we talk about making America white again, we're talking about, well, let's just dial things back a certain distance to where the white people stole America from the reds.
Yes, everything is racist nowadays.
Yeah, and that's kind of talking and thinking doesn't interest me, because the color of your skin and even the culture that goes along in that subsection of society you shouldn't limit yourself to a definition of yourself that's on that level at all.
I agree. Go ahead.
I just say, you and I, we all know people of every possible color and shade who are idiots and who are really smart. I know people with Asian backgrounds and with African backgrounds who can buy and sell you and me in terms of their brilliance and intellectual capacity. Geez, I had the smartest student I think I had in all my years of teaching at Golden Gate was a black girl who desperately wanted to get into law school, and not just some podunk law school after she was through, a really good one. And I recognized in her that she was just a genius. She was brilliant. And I personally called up. I didn't just write a letter of recommendation to Georgetown Law School, which was her dream in the clouds. I called them up. I said, listen, I'm not getting off this phone until I talk to somebody who I can communicate with, because you do not want this student to get away from you. She's an absolute genius. She's brilliant. She will reflect the best possible thing on you guys. So you goddamn accept her, all right? And if you don't, I want you before you talk to her, you talk to me, because I'm going to kick your ass. So they said, okay, Professor Aquino, and lo and behold, she got in, got her degree, and is out there, barnstorming the world right now. So I couldn't have been less interested in what her skin color was.
Sure.
But what interested me was just simply the brilliance of her mind and her determination to exercise it. And that's, again, when we're bringing this kind of thing back to your audience tonight. Everybody out there, you want to exercise your potential. The Army had this old recruiting slogan, be all you can be. Well, that's actually a good slogan if you go ahead and do it, but that just means you really have to get out there and chew at it and put demands on yourself and say, what can I accomplish? I bet I can do a lot more than I am right now, and then just go do it. And if you can, do it with something that, A, is going to be nice for other people so that they enjoy seeing you walk in the room and you don't see, oh, here comes that shithead again.
I'm with you. Yes.
And also so that you enjoy it yourself. We've seen a few people as we go through life who have managed to make a career for themselves doing something that they really like, that they really like. And then they get really good at it and they make some money at it and they're delighted with themselves. So that's my second point. If you find out what your skill area is and your interest area, try to turn that into your life's work instead of doing something that you hate just because you have to.
That's good advice.
Yeah. And if you do these things, then you'll have a good time,
Definitely. And just to quickly wrap up the whole candidate talk here, do you think any of these potential candidates will be able to take down Donald Trump?
In a word, no, I don't right now. I think that it's a clown show right now. And my heart bleeds for the United States because so help me. When I was a kid growing up, I was in the Eisenhower generation, you might say. I was born in 1946. So my grammar school era was kind of in the 1950s, and my high school and college were in the 1960s. And in those days, we had an enormous amount of respect for any elected official, particularly at the federal government level. A senator, a United States senator, or a United States president, these were like gods. And you didn't get to become somebody like that unless you were awfully, awfully smart and accomplished and respectable. And when you saw people like that making appearances, giving talks, everything they said was always polite and reasoned and carefully argued, and usually very inspiring. When you heard somebody like Adlai Stevenson give a speech, or Dwight Eisenhower, or John Kennedy, or Richard Nixon, and they were discussing their policy proposals, you could listen to them seriously and say, that's interesting. That person has makes some sense here. I'm not so sure about this part of it, but is definitely somebody that I would be proud to see sitting in the Oval Office in Washington, keep watching my back, so to speak, 24 hours a day. And today we've got this clown show.
It is.
If 50 years ago you had painted a picture like this and made a movie of it, it would be something like the movie Airplane. I mean, nobody could take this seriously, that we've got this kind of an ignoramus in the White House, and we've got these clowns who think that they can unseat him, who know even less about what's going on. And when I say ignoramus, I just mean that Donald Trump is somebody who he ran for president almost as a joke. He got elected because people hated the idea of Hillary Clinton being president so much.
Yes, that's another
Not
question.
because-
Yeah, that's another thing I was going to ask you really quickly here
Yeah.
was, do you think America is ready for the first woman president?
We could, if it had the right intelligence qualities, we would be ready for a centipede as president. What we've got right now are a bunch of clowns, and it's dangerous to have a clown in the White House with as much power as that person has, just as it's dangerous to have clowns in the Congress. The difference is that when you've got clowns in Congress, what happens is that they all bring it to a halt, because unless it can get itself unified enough to cooperatively vote on something, it won't pass anything that's worth a damn.
Yes, and only 8 candidates have qualified for the third round of the debates, and
then
yes,
and it's just as bad in the third branch of the government, which is the court system, because
yes,
we've got a bunch of activist judges right now who, as soon as the president announces a policy, somebody finds a sympathetic judge, and the judge issues an injunction, and one doofus judge in Hawaii or Idaho or whatever can just reach out and sort of pull an emergency stop cord, and the whole train comes to a halt right there where that's concerned. And that's wrong. The original, I used to teach constitutional law. I know what the Constitution says. The whole point of the judicial ability to review the actions of the other branches is to prevent something that's prohibited by the Constitution from happening. That's, it's unconstitutional. So if the Congress passes a law that violates something that the Constitution says it can't do, then the court, and it's the Supreme Court really, should be able to step in and say, I'm sorry, you can't pass that law or you can't implement it because the Constitution says you can't. And if the president issues an executive order, then the Supreme Court should be able to say, okay, here's what the Constitution says about that, and it says you can't do that, so you can't. But it doesn't mean that you twist and turn the Constitution around to come up with things that it never had in it, or you come up with the ability to use the courts to strike down official policy that are based on laws that shouldn't have become laws, like the president's arbitrary creation of DACA, for example. He didn't have Barack Obama didn't have the ability to create DACA, and he never should have. And the court should have, the minute he did it, the court should have said, sorry, those kinds of laws are reserved to Congress, and until Congress changes the law, you can't just step in and overrun them. And that's as far as it should have gone. And instead, the courts have become politicized to the point where they have become the lawmakers. And that's only going to go on for so long before Mr. and Mrs. Shotgun America get tired of it and start ignoring the courts.
yes, and no one really stands out to me, in my opinion. People like Yang and Marianne Williamson, or Williams, I'm not quite sure what her last name is now. I already forgot. See how memorable they are to me.
Sure. Well, she was sort of a breath of fresh air. At least she sounded like she was an honest person up there on the stage.
I was just going to say, I like her as a person,
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't want to see her in the White House, but you're saying, my God, there's somebody who's actually
True.
speaking the truth and not just kind of coming up with a backstabbing soundbite, trying to figure out how she can stick Joe Biden in the back or some other person in the back. And therefore, she was a breath of fresh air. But beyond that, she shouldn't have been up there in the first place.
Ooh.
The last time we had upstarts were, we had people like Jesse Jackson who had something to say. We had Ross Perot who had something to say. We've had occasional good candidates from the Greens and the Libertarians who have something to say. You don't just have idiots, up there trying to one-up each other and sort of out-Trump each other. So I fear for what's going to happen. I think that barring anything unusual, like an assassination, I think that Trump is going to walk into re-election.
It
just
seems
because
like it.
just because what the Democrats are coming up with is so lamentable. They're so idiotic. They're so, you know, they're so terrible.
I agree.
If they could look over, they can. It's a big party. It's a big country. Can't they find another John Kennedy somewhere?
Yes, and all these Democrats that we have now, they make Obama look like a Republican.
Well, so my big concern is that we're digging ourselves into a sand pit here, politically. In the average vote doesn't really carry the weight that it should. The representation's just not there now. So with that, what is the path forward? Do you think, Doctor?
And I think we might have lost him.
Oh. Okay, well, that's
don't worry.
bad, but
yes, we lost him right now.
okay.
Unfortunately, the call dropped.
But that is mine. When he gets back on, I'll definitely love to hear his thoughts on that. But we all see the problem, and unfortunately, doesn't seem like there are any clear solutions politically. At this point, it almost seems like it's a good idea to wipe the slate and start a new society. But then that's crazy talk. There's a lot of land for sale in South America, that's for sure.
Yes, no doubt. And I'm getting his number here back again. That was unfortunate. We were just rolling here.
Oh, it was quite the treat to hear some of his thoughts on specifically the ability of the modern mind to be able to really sit with information. That's one thing that this generation and those coming up are very good at accessing information, but sitting with it, digesting it. It's I read a study the other day about memory, and specifically the bottom line of it was that if you have to memorize something, you don't really understand it.
Yes.
Once you understand.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Eric, but we are joined once again by Dr. Michael Aquino. I'm sorry about that, Michael. We are having some shaky internet problems here.
Too many FBI people who are listening in, and probably too many people from lots of other intelligence services too.
That's what I think it is.
Okay, maybe they'll learn something.
Yeah, exactly.
In any case, my bottom line is I think that barring anything surprising, I think we're headed for another 4 years of Donald Trump. The good news is that he seems to be very cautious in terms of trying to not start wars or get us off into really dangerous foreign confrontations like that. So as long as he stays biased in the direction of not blowing the world up, then he can still learn, and he seems to be trying to learn as he goes to be fairly decent as a president. The bad aspect of that is that we seem to have polarized any Trump administration into a him versus the Congress situation where the Congress simply isn't going to cooperate with him at all. It's not too different in a way than what Barack Obama walked into when Obama got elected, but at that time he had a Republican Congress that just simply wasn't going to cooperate with him. And there were a lot of people who, for probably racist, reasons, just said, we're not going to tolerate a black guy in the White House. And we're going to, if we can't get him out, we're just not going to let him do anything for 8 years, and then we can forget about him.
Oh, they voted for a black guy over a woman.
Yeah, well, sure. And then, of course, we had in the second term, we had the senator from Arizona going up against him, McCain.
Right.
And then McCain picks a comic opera vice president woman, a gal from Alaska, who would be everybody's nightmare in the White House. And McCain was already so old that he looked as though he wouldn't make it through 4 years, and you'd wind up with Sarah Ferguson or whatever her name was. Was that her name?
I believe it was.
Yeah,
I think so.
in the White House, and that would have been even scarier than Donald Trump, So it wasn't surprising that Barack Obama got reelected. But other than that, the Barack Obama years were 8 years of just nothing, just neutral accomplishments in almost anything, except that the business with Obamacare pretty much wrecked the entire basis for the private industry called medical insurance in the United States. So now we're stuck with either the shreds of Obamacare or some kind of a socialized medicine prospect with this Medicare for all thing. And both of those are really lousy alternatives. When I was a kid and you looked forward in life, okay, I have to, as I'm going through life, I will have to make sure that I budget for my living expenses, either rent or a mortgage. I'll have to budget to get a car, and I'll have to budget, among other things, for my education, and I'll have to budget for my health costs. And I'll get some insurance either through my employer or privately, and that's just part of my responsibilities as I grow up. And now people are suddenly saying, well, gee, I have a civil right to the free education, and I have a civil right to the health care. Well, the Constitution doesn't say that you have either of those. Sorry, that's not what this country was built on. So just saying that you have a right to it, that sounds good, but it's not in the contract, guy. And somebody is going to pay the bill, either you or somebody else. And like Maggie Thatcher said, the problem with socialism is that sooner or later you run out of the other person's money.
That's true.
So that's the mess that we're in right now, and it's not a nice one. People say, if I got a solution, I'd say, well, we desperately need to try to rebuild the private healthcare industry in this country because the socialized one isn't going to work, and the Obamacare is imploding on an almost daily basis the way it was set up and structured like that, because it hamstrings the whole situation by sort of half socializing it. So this is a national disaster that's kind of waiting to happen.
Yes.
I hate to sound like a Cassandra on this, but I mean, that's where all these people who are up on stage there, they should be discussing their ass off in terms of the private healthcare industry. How can we rebuild it, help it to rebuild, and not waste their time on these silly ass backstabs or worrying about what, Bad Man Orange in the White House is saying or doing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, to be honest with you. It seems like they're almost giving it away to Donald Trump.
They are. And when I worried about assassination, a little earlier in passing, I was serious, because it's beginning to look to me as though this is a little bit like what was going on during the Kennedy administration, and there were powerful people in the government who were looking at the forthcoming second term of John Kennedy coming up within a year of the Dallas assassination, and they were saying, we cannot allow this person to be reelected, and therefore we'll have to take him down. And that's what happened. And I am very much afraid, and I'm not just saying this because I am sympathetic or anything for Donald Trump, but I'm just saying, if he should ever be fearful for an assassination attempt, it's between now and next year, because that's rapidly becoming the only way that anybody's going to keep him out of a second term. And when you have that kind of a situation, then that's when the assassination stuff gets underway.
Amazing. And yes, lots to consume there, lots to think about. And I believe Eric had something to add to that. Did you, Eric?
Yeah, well, it seems like we're digging ourselves into a pretty deep pit, and I'm going to tell you, I've pretty much lost faith in the political system in the United States. At this point, what is your advice to the average citizen we all see this. We all see the tower crumbling. We all see Rome burning.
Right.
The issue is that it doesn't seem the political system has a way out of this. What are your thoughts on that?
Right, and you're right about that, Eric. I just wanted to quickly tag on to that we are witnessing the big broken system right before our very eyes. Some people even think we are on the brink of some sort of civil war even, Michael.
You don't even have that going on because, and again, I'm speaking here as an academician and a historian too. The forces that got together for the original Civil War were fairly easily divisible between the North and the South. They had to do with the economy, the control of resources, what was being exported and not exported to Europe. And of course, slavery was almost a minor issue in this. I think there was something like, less than 5% of the people in the South owned slaves. And it was not that big an issue. It just got a lot of noise because it was something that you could yell about, a little bit like the racism stuff, that's being yelled about right now. But the real issue was who is going to control the economy of the South. Is it going to be the financiers, the industrialists of the North who are beginning to own things down there? Or is it going to be the sort of agrarian, pastoral Southern people who want to control things for themselves? And it divided sort of neatly right there along the lines between the northern states and the southern states. So, when Abraham Lincoln won that election in 1860, then everybody south said, okay, that's it for us. We're out of here. And the people in the North said, yeah, well, we got the guy we want. And the only question was, are we going to let the South go or are we going to force them back? And there were a lot of people who said, look, they don't want to be part of the United States. Just leave them alone. Let them go do their own thing. And we'll do our thing and they can do their thing and nobody has to worry about it. But the greedy people up north says, no, we want to control the South. The South did not want to get into a war. The only thing they wanted to be was basically left alone, and they didn't want the North having remnants of military force around, like Fort Sumter and so on. So they said, no, we want you, go away, leave us alone. And the North didn't do that, and so we started up with a war. And the war went on for 3 years, before anybody got around to talking about things like slave emancipation at all. And Lincoln said, if I could reunite, the country by freeing the slaves, I'd do that. And if I could reunite the country without freeing the slaves, I'd do that. And when he did get around to the Emancipation Proclamation, it only applied to freeing the slaves that were in the southern states and not in the 3 northern states that were slave states, because he didn't want to alienate them while the war was going on. So it was a propaganda. The whole Emancipation Proclamation was a propaganda stunt, just to throw at the South and say, hey, I officially free the slaves that are in your territories down there. So you had a chunk of the country that was fighting against another chunk of the country, but now we don't have neat state divisions. So you couldn't have a second civil war that's sort of down state lines here. You'd have a free-for-all because you have the divisions are at the individual level. You'd have rioting in the streets, basically. And you don't have anybody who is a spokesman for one clean side or the other because the issues are so varied. So what we're looking at is a kind of a gradual breakdown into anarchy. And to the extent that the borders are not under control, you'll have an increasing flow of migration up here from desperate people who were south of the border until we are indistinguishable from Mexico and Honduras and El Salvador in terms of our situation and our layout here. And we'll have a sort of a homogenized Western Hemisphere. That's what our kids are generally looking forward to right now. So when you look at a scenario like that,
is there no way out of it?
What
do you see as being a potential solution for the average person? I mean, I mean, it kind of seems like it might be time to abandon ship, but I'm not even sure where to
Yeah, there's
go.
there's no safe place to run to at this point. And if people have tried to emigrate to places like New Zealand or to Canada in the past, and yes, you could, but the United States is sort of the economic linchpin of the world right now, and has been since World War II ended. And if this country comes apart at the seams, then the world is going to be in one hell of a mess. If you tried to just right now turn the light switch out for the United States and try to imagine what the rest of the world would be doing right now if we weren't here, and it would be a horror story. And that's what we're looking at. So my advice to the individual, first of all, I would go back to what I said at the beginning of the show. Build your own skills up as fast as you can in terms of every possible educational skill and experience that you can get. Cram those into yourself and become as resilient as you possibly can as soon as you can. Take every possible opportunity, every scholarship that you can get, every educational opportunity that you can get, every usable skill that you can acquire. Do that now, not later, because time's a wasting. And then secondly, surround yourself, if you can, with smart, resourceful people. Cooperate with them. Try to avoid being sucked into and being used by these political nebushes that you hear, as I said, in the media.
Yeah.
Try not to be a slave. Is sort of what I'm sort of trying to say here. I revised the
Michael.
Satanic Bible.
Yes.
I just revised the Satanic Bible, and that's its big message. There is, this is a book, that's supposed to help you find yourself and maximize yourself. And that's
true.
it. And if it does that, then it's a success. And if it doesn't, then it's not doing its job,
I understand completely. And for those who are just joining in, I am speaking to Dr. Michael Aquino alongside E.A. Koetting right now. And of course, Michael, you are the founder of the Temple of Set, the former right-hand man of Anton LaVey. Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, I would say that for purposes of being cutesy about it, I'd probably say we would be more comfortable with the left-hand man of Anton
there
LaVey.
You go.
But anyway,
yeah.
My other comment there is, historically in the past, when there has been a national breakdown and a sort of a crisis like this, the traditional solution has been to start a world war. That happened with World War I, and it happened with World War II, which was how people got out of the Great Depression, really. And that kind of a solution galvanizes everybody behind a sort of a primitive patriotism and makes them stop fighting among themselves so they can go fight a sort of a common enemy. And that's what happened in World War II. The conditions in the United States, as we were involved in World War I and II, were very much like a police state. You could not criticize the government. If you got out of line or you tried to interfere with anything, you just got immediately summarily locked up.
Well, that's what's going on in Russia right now.
Yeah, and it's what happens in the West when you get into major war like that, and you start rattling the cage, you'll simply be locked up and snuffed out real quickly. So what the other danger that we've got as we see this breakdown going on is not so much a civil war, because, as I said, we don't have clean lines for that anymore.
Right.
And that would be just an anarchic free-for-all, which would break down things that much faster. What we really have to watch out for is World War III on an international level. And there are a lot of people in Washington, D.C. who think like that, including, very obviously some of the advisors to the president who are saying, start a war with Iran.
Well, there's
start a war with Iran, get us into World War III over the whole Persian Gulf thing, and that's the way you'll unify the United States, because anything short of that won't do it. And other than that, we're facing sort of a national catastrophe here. When you hear people like Bolton and Pompeo, and they're agitating so hard to start a war over there. This is what's going on in their heads. They're not just full of bloodlust. They're trying to save the United States from coming apart. And historically, that's how it's been done.
Yes, very interesting.
It sounds
stuff.
horrible, but that's what we're talking about here.
It is. And Eric, did you have something to add? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just it does seem like we are absolutely at a crisis, and and I wonder at the same time that we see our entire society once again, Rome is indeed burning. We can see the cars. It's about to hit the brick wall. In this moment, it does seem like we've got to enter into some. There's got to be a transfiguration of some sort of our species. We've got to move into something else. I wonder when we talk about transhumanism and the path that technology is leading, is this it's interesting. It seems like Dr. Aquino, you don't seem to really have a lot of good to say about, I think, the modern generation's way of accumulating knowledge, which is through these clicks, the clicks and the phones and being plugged in. But it seems that that's not going to decrease, and so we see interesting things as Rome is burning. Everybody seems to be tuning into an unreal world of the internet as a really prime distraction.
I just want to quickly add on to go ahead. I just want to quickly add on to what Eric was saying right now in terms of transhumanism. We are seeing Elon Musk, who is taking a step forward to just that sort of future, Eric, as you mentioned, that transhumanism sort of future for all future generations. He wants to plug in some sort of a Bluetooth device into your brain, your cell phone, and that's just that's just the first step.
Yeah, well, the ability to do that we've already got, but the issue is, what do you feed into this, or what do you take from it? A few minutes ago, when I'm wringing my hands and saying, the sky is falling here, I didn't just sit around with my thumb up my ass when I began to realize this stuff. I wrote a book called Mind War.
Right.
And the whole point of Mind War was to say we're smart enough as a species, we should not have to resort to blowing each other up and killing each other to solve problems. So what is going on here that we can address that's going to stop this bloodbath? And that's what I wrote that book about. And it's not a difficult, this is the other thing. Mind War is not a difficult book. It's not a difficult tool to use. It just needs somebody to actually say, okay, we'll use these tools instead of these ones. And then I wrote another book, which is a how-to. In other words, once you have a society or a polis, as Plato would have called it, in front of you that needs to be constructed for everyone's benefit and for everyone's happiness, sort of like the Declaration when it says, to promote the general welfare and all this, then how do you construct such a society intelligently? And that's the book called Find Far. And it's a companion to Mind War. And it's how you do construct a good society. So I've got the blueprints here. I'm just, and I've circulated these things for free, around the government. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people, but what I need is for people to, be goaded over trying these things as solutions and to work with them. So this is not an insoluble problem, but it just means that people can't just fall back on shooting each other as they usually do, because if you learn nothing else, if I've learned nothing else as a professional soldier over many, many decades, it's that nobody wins a war.
Right.
The very first thing in Mind War is a quotation from Dwight Eisenhower, who was a 5-fucking-star general, and he said in that quote, nobody wins a war. Everybody suffers.
Right.
But we don't want to do that anymore, everybody. So here is the solution to how to do that.
By the way, Michael, I've been getting bugged
Yeah.
and irritated with people wanting to call in. They're really bugging the shit out of me. So
Oh, yeah.
we're going to take a call here before they just drive me
Sure.
crazy and I just disconnect the other line completely. But yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Caller, what's going on? You have something to say here?
I got some peer pressure. I didn't even want to be the first caller, but the chat people were like, "You've got to call in," and I'm not a coward or anything.
Well,
so,
no one was calling you a coward.
So they were like, "You've got to go first," and they were anyway. So
Well,
here
you're
I
here.
am.
I'm glad you're here. What's
Here
up?
I am.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, this is the all-seeing you.
Nice. What's up?
Okay. I've got some notes here. I was prepared
Oh,
for this.
you rehearsed.
I rehearsed
Oh,
ahead of
my.
time. There's a preface and everything. One thing that I want to start out with is, hi, Dr. Aquino and Michael and Eric. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know. Can anyone else hear me?
Michael, can you hear her?
No, I can't. So you'll need to
I can't hear Michael.
What about now? Can you hear her now, Michael?
I hear. No, I'm not hearing anything from her.
Oh, no, I just heard him.
There, I heard her now.
There you go.
Oh,
Now you guys can talk.
Okay, good.
Hi
Okay,
there.
what I was saying was, hello, Dr. Aquino. It's a pleasure to speak with you, and this is I think the scientific term for this phone call right now is shit show. But
Okay.
so I wanted to say that Leppo, my friend Leppo is the reason why I'm even finding myself in this position where I'm talking to you on the internet, which is kind of a crazy thing. But he's a good guy.
Did you have a
Who's the guy?
question? Did you have a question or what's up?
Oh. Yes, I guess I can speed things along.
Fire
Sure, why
away.
not?
Yeah, got to do
Yeah,
it.
we'll do it that way. Let's see, how do I do this fast? The
Well,
comic
you
book
ask
version
a
is-
question.
Yeah, and every time you say that, I get a little bit more psyoped, and I feel less and less like asking it. I think
Well, come on, sister, you got to spit it out here.
that's the part where I hang up. And
Well, then you're free to hang up then. And there she goes. I'm not going to waste the listeners' time with people just rambling without asking a fucking question here. I mean, you got to do better than that. Come on, fucking people here. Give me a break.
While we're waiting for the next call, a quick response to what I was rambling about a minute ago. The very first and most important thing is keep the United States from starting up a World War III. And I don't care who is blamed for starting it, whether it's the Israelis or the Palestinians or the Iranians or whoever the hell. We do not want a World War III to start. So anybody who argues for starting a World War III or any excuse that you hear, don't buy it and try to push out against it as best you can. We do not need a World War III. That's going to be curtains for the whole shooting match with all the stuff that's around these days. Number two, short of that, we're looking at a very stressed and anarchic time in the United States. We just have to deal with this as best we can on a day-by-day basis. Try to keep yourself as sane as you can, and just when you get choices in front of you, take the smart ones instead of the stupid ones, and just sort of walk it through, because that's kind of where we are at the moment. That would be my short answer.
Understood. And of course, Michael, I do have to bring this up here as I didn't really want to, but how are things going on out there in San Francisco? Are you still being harassed by the self-proclaimed son of Hitler?
I don't think I've never been harassed by anybody calling himself the son of Hitler, as far as I know.
Yes,
I'm not being harassed by anybody at the moment, but that's not an invitation for somebody to start up, because I've got enough trouble with my cat.
I'm with you on that one. I do have some stray cats now who are troublesome. But yes, I'm referring to the crazy man Douglas Dietrich out there.
Oh, I haven't heard anything from or about him in a long time. I think I think he blew himself out and got tired of telling lies, and that nobody cares what he says anymore anyway.
Well, here's what the lunatic is up to now. I have obtained some intel that was stating that this man was planning to write a book as soon as you passed, Mr. Aquino.
Oh, well, I wish him well.
That's a good answer.
He'll probably make my books sell better.
What a coward! I just have to say, what a coward to say that he'll put out a tell-all book only after Dr. Aquino can't defend himself. What a coward! I just have to say that.
There's nothing to defend. You know, the guy is a bull thrower. His claims for his own history are easily debunked because he's claimed so many credentials for himself that don't stand up, that anybody who tried to look at him and verify what he claims to be his government or military history or anything like that would see that he makes up this stuff just from thin air. And my own life history is very strongly documented. It's all there in my books. It's out there in official records for anybody to see. So I'm not worried at all about one more dinky dork book thing or somebody who tries to make up lies. I'm not worried about that in the slightest, whether I'm here or not.
I'm with you on that one.
Least of all, Douglas Dietrich.
Yes, sir. And I was just very curious what you thought of that lunatic out there, what he was up to. And now that you know his plans, it's very dark and cowardly that he is waiting to do this sort of thing as soon as he passes away.
He's probably thinking about the fact that you can't libel somebody who's dead only while they're alive, so that if he tried to write a book like that, libeling me or misrepresenting me while I was still alive, I could theoretically sue him. Except that he also doesn't understand that there's no point in this country in suing somebody if they don't have any assets, because the only thing that you can win is a monetary judgment. And if they aren't worth anything, then you just basically throw your own money away for no reason. But people like that are their own worst enemies because they're known as liars and they're known as bull throwers. So why waste time with them?
That's true.
Let him say whatever he wants to say, and everybody can, just shrug it off. That's my attitude.
Yes, and Michael, as we get into dark matters here, as of late, yet again, it seems like people have been dragging your name into X, Y, and Z yet again. Anytime something happens, it's automatically Michael Aquino's fault all of a sudden.
Well, that's news to me. I haven't been accused of anything recently that I'm aware of in the last 48 hours. So what's new?
Well, it's just the same old thing. Going back to the Presidio again.
I wrote a book on that. It's called Extreme Prejudice. It details in extraordinary documented detail the entire situation around the whole Presidio scam. And anybody who is interested in that subject is more than welcome to get the book. Very inexpensive as a Kindle, and of course, it's a very huge book, but it's very modestly priced as a paperback. It's the size of a phone book because I didn't want to leave any information out, pro or con, and you can go ahead and read it for yourselves and make up your own minds, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Bottom line, I've never molested any kids anytime, anywhere, for any reason. Period, exclamation point, and there's not a shred of evidence that I ever have, and that's it. Anybody can allege anything they want for any reason, whatever. I can allege that you're actually a Martian and that Eric is from Venus, and this is an interplanetary conspiracy. And that doesn't mean that either of you are, but I can certainly go ahead and allege it.
Sure. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, not only can they not prove it, you've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. If there was prosecution to be had, it would have been had, but you've been cleared by every authority. But not only is it a huge smokescreen, because the deepest things that you are teaching, the actual embracing of the self, finding yourself. These things are in the shadows for just about everybody, but they threw up this witch hunt, and it was a quite literal witch hunt, and all of the evidence points to that. All of the evidence shows exactly what was going on there.
The 1980s was a national, I would say an international fad of making satanic ritual abuse accusations. And it wasn't just, against me or my wife. It was thousands of people internationally in the United States, Britain, Canada, Australia. So, I mean, this was a phenomenon that was going on, and thousands of people suffered with these accusations in these scams. And it was all driven by money, because people were after lawsuits and they were after claims against the government. The whole thing that the chaplain tried against me at the Presidio was because he and his wife put in a fake claim for $3 million
It's a lot of money
against the government. It was money, pure and simple, and that's all it was. He couldn't have given it. We never met each other. We didn't know each other's families. I never saw his stepdaughter. I wouldn't have known him from Adam and Eve. He didn't give a damn. Neither did his wife. They didn't know us. They didn't even like us or dislike us. They just saw us as an easy $3 million meal ticket.
Understood.
And it was as simple as that.
And Doctor, we do have another caller here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see what our caller has to say here. And please turn down your stream, caller, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Caller, did you have a question here?
Kind of hard to listen to what's going on.
Please turn down your stream.
Oh, no, you definitely have to turn down that stream, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone wants to call in, please do so, but please turn off the stream, or else there'll be this weird little echo.
Otherwise, you're in an echo chamber.
There you go. Caller, what's up? Let's hear it. Oh, boy. Caller, go ahead. You are here for us all. Go ahead.
Hi.
Oh, no.
I'll go ahead and jump in real quick since the caller's not picking up the ball quite fast enough here.
Very slow.
Several decades later, downstream from all of these events, long after you've already cleared your name, your name does still get brought up in people who are still going through these so-called recovered memories of satanic ritual abuse. I do hear it on a regular basis from clients who come to me wondering about why Michael Aquino has focused his eye on them, and that you're putting curses on people, that you're still active in all of this. And it is such a delusional fantasy. It's crazy
legend.
how your
it's a
image
folk
got
legend at this point, and I don't, there has about this since the end of the 80s when I cleared all this up for anybody who was an official investigator who really seriously was looking into it, and that was the end of it from a serious standpoint. And what we're dealing with since then has been either people on the lunatic fringe who do this as a personal hobby, or people who just throw the name of Michael Aquino around the way they used to throw the name of Anton LaVey around or something and say, oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And they say, and by the way, Michael Aquino was in that parking lot, at the Safeway or something. And I don't care about it anymore. Neither should you worry about it. It's any moment spent on it is just too much, because the nutcases are going to be blathering about this stuff long after you and I are pushing up daisies. So I would say that it's really not worth wasting time on, even during the interview here, unless somebody wants to know if I really was in the Safeway parking lot last Saturday or something, in which case I can say no.
Is it a psychological issue? If people find themselves thinking that they have seen you in a satanic ritual abusing children, should they seek professional help?
Well, they should seek some kind of help if they really believe it, because what you're saying is that they're believing something that isn't true. Somewhere, they're either bullshitting you if they're lying on your couch and telling you, or they're imagining it themselves because it simply didn't happen. And whichever way it is, I can't be their confessor, and neither can you. But a lot of people, and I'm sure you're aware of this if you're in a mental health field or something, people don't like to take responsibility for themselves and their decisions. They'd rather blame it. Oh, the devil made me do it, in some way or other. Or Michael Aquino made me do it. Or Donald Trump made me do it. Or anything else other than I made myself do it. And that's what we're really getting down to here, because any kind of an excuse, I don't hear these satanic ritual abuse is basically a dead issue because everybody, that's last year's hat, everybody wore it out. It kind of started to get worn out when people began translating it over into the accusations against the churches that had a lot of money, like the Catholics. And then that's where the big money is to be made.
Well, nowadays it seems,
of course, the Catholics do have those kinds of problems.
Yeah, and nowadays it seems like the entire Jeffrey Epstein case that's underway, lots of conspiracy theorists out there bringing up your name, blaming you for everything, Michael. That's what I was getting at.
I don't know. I don't know Jeffrey Epstein. I never heard of his name before, like anybody else on the news. And I've lost count of the amount of Washington, D.C. sex parties that I'm supposed to have been invited to.
Sure.
All I can say is if I've been in charge of the party that was being shown in Eyes Wide Shut, I would have had it much more exotic and entertaining than you saw in that movie, because that was pretty dull. Just a bunch of old guys taking their pants off and doing public fucking, which to me is kind of boring.
Well, you know, for someone like myself who's never been invited to any of these parties, I feel kind of left out.
You should at least have a good buffet. You know, you have to remind people if they're going to wear masks, only wear masks that cover the top part of your head so that your jaws and mouth are open so that you can actually eat something from the buffet table without revealing who you are. You know, simple stuff like that. I mean, consideration is the word here.
And by the way, one of the callers that was trying to get in here before his cell phone went dead, he was wanting to ask if you were aware of Enki.
Enki?
Yes, sir.
I-N-K-Y?
Right.
Never heard of it.
E-N-K-Y.
E-N-K-Y. No, never heard of it. Or him, or it, or whatever it
Enki
is.
is one of the forms, basically a creator god of the ancient Sumerians.
Well, there were a lot of ancient gods in the Bronze Age. The one that we're stuck with today, for the most part, his original name was El, E-L. And today he's popularly known in Judeo-Christianity and Islam as Jehovah.
Right.
But he was just one more nasty Mesopotamian Bronze Age god, along with Moloch and Baal and the rest of them, and who was into human sacrifice and basically dumping on human beings and making their lives miserable if they didn't obey his every fetish. And that's the God that most people worship today for reasons that continue to escape me. So I'm not sure who Enki might be, but probably one of the rivals of El.
In the Sumerian myths, Enki was actually the liberator who liberated humankind from that slavery. And so in that way, Enki is often associated with Satan, Set, or Lucifer.
Right.
Well, Satan, Set, Lucifer, was, if you go back far enough, as we have in the Temple of Set, you find that what you're really looking at in a sort of a clean and pure sense is an original opposition between individual consciousness and everything that is not it, in terms of the Set versus Horus the Elder or Harwer dichotomy that the Egyptians recognized. And later, of course, the objective aspects of the not self were recognized as the variations of the various physical god beings, such as the Neteru, the term usually used, which is where you get Isis, Osiris, Nephthys, the rest of them. And Set was the principle of individual consciousness as opposed to everything else, or what you might call, if you were Rod Serling, the fifth dimension. And this had really very little to do with the Judeo-Christian Satan, except that when they began trying to develop a more sophisticated explanation for El and said, well, this is the God of the whole universe, and they said, well, there has to be kind of an opposition. We're missing something that represents this wild card of human presence here that can be kind of in opposition or rebelliousness to it. Oh, I know. We'll come up with, let's call it Satan, And Satan, in the original Mesopotamian lingo, was originally an art critic. He wasn't symbolic of evil. He was an assistant to God who said, God, El, you screwed up here. You didn't do a very good job of making this human being creature, and I'll show you how imperfect he is by tripping him up so that he stumbles a lot and insults you a lot, and then you can beat up on him all the more. And that was the beginning of how Satan began as a sort of a district attorney or an accuser or a prosecutor or as a Mueller, as it were,
Right.
back then. And then later on, it got kind of simplified into a personification of evil, but by evil, it just meant anything that L didn't like. And that's where it is today. So most people have a very childlike and a very primitive and a very stupid understanding of this good-evil dichotomy. That's something that certainly in the Temple of Set and for an individual who is just exploring this, I would say to you, take a look at my book called Illuminank, ILLUINANKH, Illuminank, because that is a book that is designed to take the whole concept of personal religion for a person who is considering whether to be a conventional religionist or any other kind of religionist or an agnostic or an atheist, and offers all these things and their justifications and their counter arguments and puts them on the table and says, here is what you're really trying to decide about, and here are some rational ways to look at this and make sense for yourself. So if you're confused on the subject of good and evil and devils and Satans and things, you don't want to look at the Satanic Bible first of all. I would say go get Illuminank and look at that. And then when you're through with that, you decide that what you are reading in there in terms of the left-hand path or a Satanic or Setian approach seems to make sense to you, then pick up something like the Satanic Bible and go into stage 2 of that.
Right.
But if not, you'll find some very good pointers in other directions. I tell people who want to harmonize themselves with the objective or the physical universe and its gods and its Neteru, that the best thing that they can do, and I highlighted in that Illuminate book, is go pick up a set of books called Herbach, Her-BAK, by Aisha Schwaller de Lubbock. That is a walkthrough in very easy to understand terms of the ancient Egyptian cosmology that was studied and articulated by Rene Schwaller de Lubbock, known as symbolism. It's absolutely brilliant. And Aisha was his wife, and she said, Rene, all the books that you've written are too damn hard for people to understand. I'm going to write this up in a storyline that people can understand. And she did, and that's the Herbach set of books. It's published by Inner Traditions.
Amazing.
It's a paperback.
Yes, Inner Traditions, a great publishing company.
Yes.
They send me books all the
read
time.
That.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely.
If you want a good religious philosophy that you can live with, that's based on the universe, that doesn't have anything to do with the Satanic or Setian approach, if you don't like that idea, go take a look at Illuminank, read through it, and then pick up a set of Herbach and go for it, and you will be a very happy and balanced person.
Nice. And of course, Michael, as we wind down here tonight, we are coming close to the end of this spectacular interview here with myself, you, and E.A. Koetting. I thought we could talk a little bit about some random current news here. And of course, Michael, I do want to compliment you on those eyebrows of yours.
Yeah, the eyebrows have been around since I was born.
You're ahead of the game.
You can see them on my baby pictures.
You were way ahead of the game, Michael. Just want you to know that. Way ahead of the game. Yeah, I mean, Michael, to be honest with you, I get emails about your wife, Lilith, how she's doing. And of course, I get asked about those eyebrows and how amazing they are.
Lilith is in great shape. She's gorgeous as always. Drool runs down my chin whenever she walks in the room. She just yelled, "Stop it," from the other room. And she's laughing at me now, but that's okay. She can laugh at me all she likes. Yes. I must have done something right if the devil gave her to me.
That's true.
Anyway, as far as the eyebrows are concerned, anybody who wants to go look up my grammar school photos at Town School for Boys in San Francisco will see that in my In my childhood pictures, the eyebrows are there already, so they haven't been photoshopped or anything.
Incredible. And of course, I know we talked about this before, going towards more of the conspiratorial realm for one moment here. I think I think I've asked you this before, but in terms of 9/11, just to clarify things here, do you believe the U.S. government could have prevented the 9/11 attacks?
Of course, it could have. The 9/11 attacks had nothing to do with the Arabs. They were a joint conspiracy by the State of Israel and the U.S. intelligence community, principally the CIA. And this is not at all difficult to figure out. Anybody can do it for yourselves. It's kind of hard to hijack an airplane if you aren't on it, right?
Right.
Okay, now you just tell your listeners to chase down the final official, and I'm not talking about the various fake ones that were put out early, the final and official verified passenger manifests of those 4 flights. They are available on the internet, and you will find that there is not a single Arab on any of them. Not one.
Amazing.
Okay? 0. You can't hijack a plane if you're not on the thing. The planes did not hit the towers, they did not hit the Pentagon, and they did not hit a field in Pennsylvania. They were flown to Westover Air Base and landed there. The cell phone calls that were supposedly made from them were made on the ground, which is why you don't hear any background airplane noise on any of them.
Right.
And why the cell phones actually worked, because they would not work from planes in the air.
Absolutely.
It was well known.
Not at that time. Yes.
They were more or less at the same time. The passengers on all these planes were then killed, and the planes were then disposed of, and that was that.
Amazing.
The whole thing was done to create a Pearl Harbor-like justification for starting the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
A new Pearl Harbor.
Period. Exclamation point on behalf of the State of Israel. And it could not have been done, obviously, without cooperation and a hands-off from the Central Intelligence Agency and the FBI, which is why when you get the Mueller report and you wonder about the ethics of Mr. Mueller, just remember he was the guy who was in charge of the FBI during 9/11.
Oy vey. Go ahead, Eric.
So you shouldn't believe this guy 10 days from Sunday on anything he says.
Amazing. Go ahead, Eric.
No, this is a massive. I mean, what you're describing is absolutely in alignment with the facts. But what you're describing is also a clear sign of the United States is using its military force in a psyops against its own citizens.
Yes, well, we've been doing that for a long time. I mean, it started out with the Battleship Maine. You know, the Spanish-American War. There was the Gulf of Tonkin incident. This business, it's called a false flag operation. I discussed it in Mind War a bit. And this business of, the Israelis tried to blow up an American ship. I think it was the USS Liberty during the 6 Days War.
Indeed.
I think its name was. And they failed, but the plan was to blow it up, kill everybody on it, and then blame it on the Egyptians. And unfortunately, they didn't succeed in sinking it, and Americans survived. President Lyndon Johnson called back the planes that were en route from a U.S. carrier to shoot down the Israelis that were trying to sink that ship and kill all the Americans, but they still didn't do it, even after Johnson called back the rescue flight that was in the way, and Israel didn't suffer for it at all. So basically, we're kissing Israel's ass, and that's what 9/11 was all about. And the fact that several thousand Americans had to die was incidental.
Yeah.
It's business as usual.
Yeah, business as usual. And of course, one of the most interesting news stories as well that the mainstream media has been running lately, of course, is in fact on UFOs. I know we've talked about that before as well, but it's interesting to see that the Navy has changed their protocol and how sightings are now reported by pilots. I was very curious on your opinion on this sort of thing, Michael. And I also wondered if perhaps you might have heard about anything like that, maybe perhaps that in Vietnam at any time, if maybe there were any unidentified flying objects in the skies during that time period.
Okay, short answer. A quick bit of history here.
Do it.
I was one of the United States' Army's first formally qualified space intelligence officers with a code prefix of 3Y after my strategic intelligence 35 Bravo. At the time, that was in 1990. I was one of the first U.S. Army officers as a lieutenant colonel going through what was then the U.S. Army Space Institute, and has since been absorbed into training by the U.S. Air Force. And at that time, as I said, I was formally credentialed as a Joint Space Intelligence Officer and then assigned to headquarters U.S. Space Command in Colorado Springs, at Peterson Air Force Base, which is the senior headquarters over Cheyenne Mountain, for the next 4 years as a space intelligence officer. And my specific area of assignment was in the J2 area, which is the Joint Intelligence Office of Headquarters Space Command. And I was the X officer, which is should give everybody some amusement there, because that is, in fact, the origin of the old X-Files concept. X handled review of any kind of incident that was picked up by Cheyenne Mountain that couldn't be explained away by known protocols of aircraft or spacecraft that was identified up there. So when something anomalous would happen, it would come over my desk, not for immediate response, because that was done by a flag officer right up there in Cheyenne Mountain. But I would have to look through the reports of it and the analyses of it and decide whether or not it was something we had to worry about or pay attention to. Bottom line, in 4 years, I did not see anything that suggested that we were under attack from another planet. There's a lot of anomalous stuff up there. There is a lot of UFO activity. Most of it is what you'd call normal spacecraft going on, which means meteors, small comets, things flying around up there. There's a lot of trash in space. It isn't an empty vacuum. A lot of stuff comes near to or close to the Earth and gets chewed up by the atmosphere, which is lucky for us. Otherwise, we would look like the surface of the moon here. There's also a lot of space junk up there that is a result of half a century worth of the United States and other countries sending rockets up there and leaving pieces of them flying around. So there's thousands, just tell anybody who wants to Google space junk. You'll be astounded at the amount of stuff is up there that NORAD and Spacecom had to keep track of all the time, and it was keep coming over my desk and saying, "So what about this?" Bottom line, there is, if you've got any physicists out there, forget Einstein. Okay, forget this notion that you can't travel faster than light. Of course you can. You can go up to 186,000 miles per second. You put your foot on the gas pedal and go another 1 mile an hour, and there you are, and it's no big deal. What happens is that you are dealing with the ability of yourself to measure yourself against any other object. This is the problem with a fourth dimensional existence. This is what the 4 dimensions really mean, and I discuss all this in detail in FindFar. Because what you are looking at in terms of speed is your speed relative to something that can detect you or that you can detect. And the minute that you go past that, because you're flying faster than the communications media that are being used to do that measuring, you blink out. They can't see you, you can't see them. This is the problem with claims of interstellar UFOs flying here from Alpha Centauri. To go fast enough to reach the Earth is not a problem. But the minute that they start going that fast, in any sane analysis of being able to measure yourself against anything else in the physical universe so that you can take a bearing, you lose it, because you basically outpace the entire electromagnetic spectrum, which, as far as we know, defines the objective and electromechanical universe. Somebody trying to reach here would be flying blind until they got here, unless they took an awfully pinpoint snapshot of their destination before they accelerated.
Eric,
So
did you have...
the odds of that are next to impossible from a physical standpoint, as you can probably figure out if you think about it.
Understood.
What you're seeing when you see about events here on Earth are Earth-based stuff, the kind of things that go on because we're making new toys at Area 51, where I've been several times, by the way.
Amazing. Eric, did you have something to add?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It seems like any adventure, any journey, we can't see what's on the other side, on the other shore until we get there. I think it's important that we do get there. It's interesting that we have all of the communication technology that was promised by Star Trek, but none of the propulsion technology, none of the teleporter technology. But it does seem like we're hopefully getting there. But I think that once we enter into that hyperdimensional space where we can travel faster than the speed of light.
By the way, Eric, we lost him again.
Oh, wow.
the internet clipped out again.
As I start going, he's pushed off. That's unfortunate.
Don't worry, that was on my end though. It's not nothing to do with you or anyone else for that. It's just the internet here. It's been really strange, and it dropped for a moment. And when I checked the application here on the other laptop, it was down, and I thought, oh God, here we go again. Just when things were going so swell here.
Yeah. No. Despite the
I'll get him back.
the
Don't worry.
interruption, it seems like we're able to keep things on track. So excellent.
Yeah, man. And how do you feel about that? The pilots seeing these things in the sky, the Navy having to change their protocol. What do you think this is from another planet, or do you think this is maybe some sort of craft that we are not aware of, even though the capabilities and their maneuvering is something that has never seen, that's something that we've never seen here, rather, before.
If they've traveled here from another planet, they're not just tourists that have traveled here from another planet. Let me put it that way. They have been here throughout all of our mythologies. They have been here from the beginning of time, as far as our recorded history is concerned. We've called them devils, angels, fairies, elves. Well, we've called them a lot of different things, but they have been among us, and it seems like there is something very real going on, something that's being recorded on the highest technology military equipment at this point. If you're piloting one of these craft that cost a ridiculous fortune to make, the military trusts you to make decisions about what you're observing. And when we have these pilots that are observing these phenomena that they're not able to account for, that they say that these things are traveling beyond the speeds and with a propulsion system that's completely not possible by our understanding of physics.
Hello?
We do have to stop and consider what we're actually dealing with. And that's exactly what I think the military and the government is doing, is they're trying to figure out, what are we dealing with? At this point, they've done a really great thing by identifying these as aerial threats. Putting the word threat in there has engaged the military to actually look into this.
Yes, Michael, welcome back to the program. We were just we were just discussing if what we are seeing is from this world or perhaps another government, judging the fact that these things have capabilities in maneuverability that is something we've never seen here on Earth.
It's from this government, and it's on this world. I mean, that's the short answer to it.
It seems like
nobody has the capability that we do in the area of stealth aircraft and research. Just think back to a few years ago when they unveiled the B-2 and the stealth fighter. What jaws dropped at that point, and we've been working our ass off since then. That's what's going on at the Skunk Works all the time, and that's what they play around with at Area 51 and stuff. I mean, this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. We're awfully good in these areas, and there's no country on the planet that can come close to us. The people that we're futzing about right now are the Chinese, primarily because they still steal stuff from us in terms of our technology, because they don't have that kind of a technological base on their own 20 years ago, they couldn't get a goddamn rocket off the ground, and now they're flying stuff into space because they got the technology from U.S. industries. And that shouldn't surprise anybody, although it's not really something that people like to hear. Same thing with North Korea. How do you think that bozo up there learned how to build ICBMs and nuclear bombs and stuff?
They stole the technology.
Smart. This is all United States technology that these guys got, and a little bit of it from Russia, who got it from us, earlier than that. This is the country where these kinds of brain things are going on at Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and all the rest of that all the time, 24 hours a day while you're asleep, guys. Wake up, all right? And that's what you're looking at here. So anytime you see something, I was at the CIA one day and somebody said, well, blah, 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 and blah, blah. And I was a pilot and I saw this thing go by my 747 like it was a ball of fire, and he said, yeah, well, you probably saw an SR-71, which has a titanium hull, and when it's going faster than Mach 3 or 4 or something like that, the whole thing glows like a fireball and goes by you, wham, like that. And then you call up air traffic control and you say, oh, I saw this goddamn thing just go by me. They aren't going to say, oh, well, that was just the CIA and they just flew an A-12 or an SR-71 by you. They're going to say, we don't see nothing here. This is business as usual in the Space Command. And as I said, all the people who rent space at Area 51.
And speaking of Area 51, it seems like there is a group of a lot of people that plan to breach the perimeters of Area 51, which is completely ridiculous. Michael, I did want your take as well as yours, Eric.
Well, my take is they aren't going to get very far. They'll just get rounded up and locked up and then patted on the butt and say, okay, go home and be good. I don't think anybody's going to get shot unless they're stupid. But,
and I'll tell you what, that is my concern, though, is that our military has been known to kill people. And
yeah, but they aren't going to try and kill Americans in Area 51 if they can avoid it. I mean, they would. It's easier just to round them up and ship them home and maybe hit them with a fine and tell their wives or girlfriends to spank them and keep them home. The only way you're going to get in and out of Area 51 is on a Janet, and it's a little hard to get a Janet ticket unless you've got one. That's the chartered airplanes that fly out of Las Vegas. Which is how I would go up and back from there.
Yes, very interesting. And of course, without having to mention this, I still feel like I have to.
Well, okay.
The fact that
if it involves your sex life, I'm not sure that I can, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, actually, that's going well. But the thing is, I wanted to say that there is a war on freedom of speech playing out right in front of us, and no one is still talking about it. Everyone's still very quiet about that. The fact that we are currently seeing all these sort of individuals being censored, and we're seeing things with Google as well, the primary player here that's causing all this censorship. Many individuals out there are losing their ways of even generating any kind of income for themselves. Lots of these individuals are having their assets frozen, even all because
this is not good.
Yeah, it's not good.
This is not good.
Yes, all
this
because
kind of
of
thing is not good.
All because of something they said that an opposition doesn't necessarily agree with, and it gives them this sort of power over these other individuals to completely shut them out. And
well, this has been going on since Adam and Eve. Guys, as I said during World War II, if you spoke out against the government, you'd be accused of sedition and locked away in a prison. Today, you just get frozen off the internet, which isn't quite as painful, although it can be frustrating if you committed your life to internet access that way. But yes, I mean, it's when you look at these large media platforms, whether it's Facebook, which I'm not a member of, by the way. So if you ever see a Michael Aquino there, it ain't me.
It's not you.
And or Twitter or all these things. Yes, you're subjecting yourself to the control of whoever is going to be censoring that stuff. It even happens in places like Wikipedia and so on, where somebody gets to control who's being said about what. So I would say that the extent to which you can free yourself from dependent upon something that somebody else has a whip hand over, go that route and try and spread yourself around through other means rather than be dependent upon that.
No doubt. And of course, we are seeing corporations becoming bigger than government. And as I've mentioned, we've seen this nonstop censorship, the unconstitutional behavior by various marauders out there. A lot of this censorship reminds me of a form of the Bolsheviks back in the day. Maybe that's a little extreme, but it sort of seems that way.
Well, sure. The Bolsheviks, of course, it was a term that was used for the Russian Revolution. They were the original communists who wanted to overthrow the old Tsarist system. So I'm not sure if that's an accurate term historically.
Maybe not.
But it's you might say that today you have anarchism as
Right.
the individualism side of the equation, people who want to be able to say anything they want to wherever and whenever they want to, versus the people who want to limit what gets said, by who, where, and when. And those are the people who have the whip hand at places like Facebook or Google or whatever, and who can outlaw this kind of a account and not that one, or rub out this speech and not that speech. And unfortunately, there's no simple answer to that unless you were to just throw up your hands and let everybody say everything they want to. The problem with that is that then you get into an atmosphere of unrestricted bad-mouthing and accusations, which is kind of where we were back in the 80s when you had
Right.
all the SRA stuff. And anybody could just allege anything they want to and ruin other people's lives with lies.
Yes.
So there has to be some kind of a break on just allowing anonymous character assassination, and that's the flip side of it. So there's no easy answer to this.
True. I'm living on shattered faith here in terms of society and having any kind of hope for future generations. We are plagued by barbiturates and short-term memory laced with apathy. Not everyone, but a large portion of our society will fall into this category. Not all, but most, Michael.
As I said, I've got a few solutions in my books like Mind War and Find Far that are supposed to plot a rational alternative. Whether or not this can happen depends upon the goodwill of people who read these books and think like this. And all I'm trying to do is start a ball rolling here. I'm not trying to, hog the whole ball. But I've kind of put my money where my mouth is and said, okay, if I don't like the situation, here are the ways that I think that we can get out of it. And I still stand by what I've said in those books. So if people want to see in detail what I think will be of some use, I would say check out Mind War, check out Find Far. If you're talking about your personal religious situation and you're trying to figure that out, check out Illuminank. And then, play around with the other books. Go to Amazon, which is another one of those big conglomerates.
Right.
Look up Michael Aquino as an author. You'll see all 17 of my books, and then you can go in there and look around and find the ones where you think it's a subject that you might be interested in. And then you can see what I have to say in detail and see if it makes sense to you. If it does, good. If it doesn't, there's the ash can. You can toss it.
Yeah, just keep reading or just toss it away. And Michael, I must say, I certainly enjoyed our conversation this evening, Doctor. And of course, before I cut you loose here, I want to leave you with any kind of final words. But even before that, I should say, Eric, if you have any final words for Michael before we let him ascend here, please feel free to do so now, Eric. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you again for all the work that you've done throughout your entire life. You've been an inspiration, absolutely. And you mentioned a couple of your books, but one that you didn't mention that I would highly recommend is Mind Star for those of us that are really zeroing in on our personal development and our own personal evolution. This book is it doesn't get much more to the point than Mind Star, and so thank you for all of your works and for taking the time to chat with us today.
My pleasure, thank you. And I would say that when I originally wrote Mind War, I kept it out in the physical world of things that are going on outside of our personal bodies, things that are happening in society that we need to deal with and ways we can deal with those things. So the physical world is addressed by Find Far and by Mind War, But then people were saying, well, what about the world of the soul and the self and the individual consciousness? What about that? Why didn't you say anything about that in Mind War? And I said, because that's not what we're dealing with when we're dealing with social issues. We're dealing with, jackknife sets of stuff that we're trying to do to fix that. But I'll write a book about the soul, a manual, a Boy Scout handbook for the human soul. And that's what I did with Mind Star. So yes, if you want to see the flip side, you might say, of Mind War, that deals with the individual consciousness, who and what you are, and what you should think about yourself, and how you should consider your phenomenon of life and intelligent existence, yes, Mind Star. That's also there in my list of books. So thank you for mentioning it.
Incredible. Did you have a good time, Michael? Did you have fun?
You mean tonight?
Yeah.
I had a ball. I like these discussions. I'm sorry if I tend to rant.
That's okay.
Sometimes I get really excited by these things, and I have this urgent desire to want to fix everything for everybody right this second, and things kind of stumble over themselves in terms of ideas that are scrabbling around in my head trying to force their way out. So I apologize if I've tended to monopolize, the speaking time or conversation. I've tried to say as many helpful and useful things as I can for you and your audience. And again, I appreciate the invitation to be here. Very kind of you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you were here. It was such a fun time. And we will definitely have to do this again on the other side, my friend.
You got it.
All right, Michael, take care.
Okay.
All right.
Good night.
And there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. That was the one and only Dr. Michael Aquino. A great time that was. I had fun. Did you like that, Eric?
Yeah, no, that was that was a blast. I'll tell you what, like I said, I've listened to just about every conversation that you've personally had with him, and it's interesting to peel back layers of the different subjects he'll touch on. That is the amazing thing when he says go check out his Amazon and see what subject interests you. He's not joking. He is an expert in several different fields, and Satanism and the occult is definitely one of them. But as he's made clear, that's not his only focus. He actually is a man of many crafts.
That was amazing. That was a great conversation. And of course, you did a fantastic job co-hosting, Eric, I must say.
Well, thank you.
Great questions,
really,
man.
Yeah.
You did good, man. You were in there in the pocket asking amazing questions. And I apologize to the callers out there that were trying to get in here. We were having a bunch of trouble with the phones here. However, all will be fixed the next time out. I do promise that. Definitely promise that to all of you out there. The phone will be fixed next time you call in. And I apologize. That was awful. But sometimes that happens when you're trying to do a live show. These things sometimes don't work. Technology will fail. It's another good reminder for those out there. Technology is just sometimes lacking.
Oh, but Michael, we depend on it so much, though. I mean,
sadly
right
we
now,
do. Sadly we do, man.
Yeah, even I mean, this conversation to be able to happen is because of electricity. It's actually
True.
said, one thing that we unfortunately didn't get to address. So many things we didn't get to address, and so we do need to get back on if possible at any point in the future. If you're able to get this particular three-way going again, I'm definitely game, because one of the things that's been said is that Lucifer's power is here on Earth in the form of electricity, and his mind is here in the form of the internet, and with that, technology definitely can fail, but it seems like it's going in the opposite direction. Google doesn't experience very much downtime.
It doesn't. And then when it does, people lose their minds.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, it's amazing when people start losing their internet connection. How, I mean, we talked briefly about transhumanism earlier,
Right.
and we're already cyborgs. We already have
Pretty much.
something in our hands that we carry with us at all times that tells us what to do.
We also have a pacemaker.
Right.
That's evil.
well, and now we've got once again Elon Musk is looking at doing this Neuralink of a seamless interface, and I just don't want to deal with the pop-ups. I mean,
Pop-ups. That's funny.
yeah, this is we're moving into some strange territory, and it was amazing to be able to have this conversation with somebody who helped push things, helped push the boat to where it's at, and hopefully get us a bit further downstream.
Word. And Eric, I do want to thank you for also being a part of the program. It was amazing to have you here. And we'll definitely have you back on again, and I'll allow you to co host this shindig here.
I would love it anytime, anytime. You just let me know.
All right, my friend. Anything you want to plug before I let you go now?
Go check out becomealivinggod.com. We've brushed on a lot of different things about demons and devils and
Right.
black magic rituals. Well, if you want to learn how to do all of these, go to becomealivinggod.com. I've basically uploaded all of my information about ritual magic, ceremonial magic, black magic to the internet. And you can check out video courses, books, book a consultation with me so we can talk in person and I can teach you how to become an actual black magician yourself.
Amazing. Well, thank you once again, Eric, and we'll definitely do this again on the other side, my friend.
Excellent. Thank you. I look forward to it.
No problem. Take care. Mahalo. And there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. That was the one and only Mr. Eric Koetting. Great guy, and even did a great job co-hosting here. I was quite impressed. Fantastic. We'll do it again on the other side, boys and girls. And of course, it is that time to go on a little break here. And when I return, the Florida correspondent is live and in the building. Stay tuned for that. It'll be fun, I promise. Don't go anywhere. Oh my God. Good Lord.
thought of breaking through? Ain't it part of what you do? Catch a victim while he's dumb, break his larynx with your time. It's time to get high. Well, this ain't no goddamn dream. It's exactly what it seems. Wake up today just to lay back down and say, I won't be coming back. Let's call it a heart attack. Give me some of that knack. This is just a final payback. They all flipped on me, took my passions, left me be. When I had a place to sit, goddamn attitude to fit. Talk real smooth, knew where to spit. But things have changed and I've quit. Got nothing to look forward to but backlash full of lies. You're too late.
And welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on the final stretch of the program. This is where we let our hair down and we let the rest up to you. Taking your calls here, 760-332-8724. One more time, 760-332-8724. For those that do have balls, go ahead and call in. And of course, I am not alone now. I am with yet another soul. And let's bring her in. Vanessa, are you alive and well?
Yes, hi.
Fantastic. What's up?
And nothing much.
How are you, by the way?
I had a drink a little bit ago, so
I'm drinking right now.
Okay, good. I'm trying to be under my best behavior. On my best behavior. I don't know why I said under.
Under your best behavior?
On my best behavior. I'm telling you, I'm drunk.
I mean, I'm getting there right now myself.
All right, good. I like that.
Yeah, so of course, welcome back to End of Days. And for those that don't know, you were just with me doing a Patreon episode.
Yes, it was you revealed a lot of stuff there.
Oh, yes. And of course, for those that are just joining in, welcome to round 2 of the program. And if you're just showing up, Dr. Michael Aquino and E.A. Koetting were just here on the first half of the program, and that was a lot of fun. And Vanessa, did you listen to that?
I did. My internet was acting up towards the end, but I heard most of it, especially the callers that weren't talking.
Did you hear? I know. What was that all about?
I don't know. You were kind of mean.
Well, I have to be.
Yeah, I mean, you were a little bit insensitive.
Well, you think I'm going to be nice to the callers now? Come on.
Come on.
You know, I'm not going to do that here.
No.
You got to be mean to the callers sometimes.
Yeah.
Got to whip their ass a little bit sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why is Gang of Four saying for me to call in?
I don't know, that Gang of Four. He should call in though.
Yeah, I'm here. I've called in.
You're one ugly motherfucker.
That's right.
I don't know why he doesn't call in, but he should. He's always someone who's always saying, get Vanessa on, do this, do that.
Gang of Four, please call in. I would love to talk to you.
He should call in. I'm not sure why he doesn't want to. He's being a little bitch.
No. Michael.
What happened?
Don't say that.
I can't harass the listeners now.
No, he's just being shy.
But what fun is it if I can't harass the listeners?
No, you can't.
It's fun too.
Yeah, no, you can't harass the listeners or the callers.
All right, I'll try to behave.
Okay.
So anyways, you were with me during the Patreon episode, and I went through some things here that happened behind the scenes. What did you think of all that? All of that juicy detail, rather?
It without revealing too much, because we don't want to give it all to them.
That's true. We don't.
It was very juicy.
It was juicy. I went crazy, didn't I?
Yeah, it was kind of hot too.
It kind of was hot. I had to take off my pants during that thing.
Yeah, it was revealing. There was a lot of revealing going on.
Lots of revealing.
Yes.
I let loose. I did not hold back. I definitely wanted everyone to know what was going on behind the scenes. And of course, if you want to take a listen to that, that's patreon.com/Michael Deacon. And just for $5, you can pick that up. And it is like digital crack. Those who have heard it were mesmerized by the whole experience, really.
I mean, you revealed a lot.
I'm not
I
just blowing
didn't-
smoke up my own ass here, but
No,
lots
I
of people.
didn't even know.
Lots
I
of
didn't
people
even
were
know a lot of
loving
that
it.
stuff.
It was a lot of stuff I've never really talked about here on the air, but
Mhm.
I thought the timing was right, and I needed to whip a little bit of ass,
Yeah. Yes.
and I did.
Yes.
A lot of people loved it.
Mm-hmm.
They thought I need to do more of it.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why I'm a little bit more aggressive tonight.
Yeah, very aggressive.
I have to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
It's kind of hot.
sometimes there's callers here, and they just fuck everything up.
I mean,
It's not
anything
their fault though.
No, you make them nervous.
They're a little slow, dumb, and retarded at times.
Oh, you cannot say retarded.
I can't
It's
say the
20
retard word.
No, it's 2019. We do not say retarded.
Okay. I take it back. They are inept.
Okay, that's a little bit better.
There was a female caller earlier who was just a retard, or inept rather. She called in here and she couldn't spit out any of the question. I felt like I felt like Adam Sandler there during that movie, Billy Madison,
Yeah,
where he's telling the fat kid to spit it out, Junior.
it was a little frustrating, but I think that you were a little too mean.
Well, I have to be mean. I'm not going to be nice. I mean, come on now. If I'm too nice, I mean, people start thinking a certain way. Can't let that happen now.
Yes, I think it's you have to you
No,
have to be rude.
I had to remind them what time it is.
Oh shit.
I had to let them know.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to let people waste the listeners' time here if you call in and you're just stumbling around. The fuck wants to hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not me, and I hope definitely not any of you out there. Fuck that.
That's right.
Fucking dumb.
We don't play on here.
Fuck no, I'm not here to play around.
Yes.
I'm not here to play games, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to fuck shit up. I mean, it's the truth. That's just the truth. And there was another gentleman who was trying to call in, and I do apologize to that guy because he was trying to call in for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing is inadequate right now, but don't worry, soon enough that will be taken care of, and everyone will be able to call in, and everything will be nicey nice.
Why people can't call in now?
Well, the phone was being weird here, by the way. First of all,
Okay.
I was trying to answer those calls, but things were a little shaky here. And of course, there was another, speaking of which, that caller who was fumbling around like an imbecile here, she, very irritating. The voice even was very irritating. You definitely don't want to be around that too long. And, I told her, I said, you're wasting people's time here.
I feel like you might know her.
I don't know her. I don't know who that is.
No? Oh.
No. And anyways, in the chat room, I typed in, that call didn't help the way women are perceived.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a joke.
Okay.
I said, you're not really helping women out. And there was another female listener in here who took offense to that, and she left the chat room. I thought that was pretty hilarious.
I mean, if you're going to listen to the show, you can't be sensitive.
Yeah, you can't be a cunt if you're listening to this program. You got to check
Or you can't be what Michael said.
That's right. You got to check your little ego and at the door here.
Yes.
You really do. And that was just a good reminder. Good reminder. Don't be dumb.
I'm reading your chat.
The chat room agrees. They know.
They're a rowdy bunch.
I love the chat room.
Yes, they should call in.
They know what's up.
Yeah.
They know what time it is. And K-Dub saying that he feels abused. K-Dub, you know I love you. You shouldn't feel abused.
Why does he feel abused?
He feels neglected, I'm sure. That poor K-Dub out there.
Oh, God, Michael, you have to give attention to everyone.
He wants me to rub him. Wants me to give him a little rub there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Vanessa, what's going on with you? I missed you.
Really?
Yeah.
Michael, we talk every day.
But I'm honored you're here on the air with me.
Oh, yes.
And honored that you're here. You're here honoring us with your presence and gracing us on the show.
Aw, thank you.
And of course, you were the first person I did the Patreon, and we did that together. And again, it was a great episode that I really do want all of you to check out. I wish I could talk about that here, but I can't.
No, I think it was a very private conversation.
It really was. I revealed a lot.
Yeah, I thought about that. I thought it was like the perfect time to talk about it.
Yeah. So
in a perfect place.
In a perfect, yeah. I definitely hope all of you out there that do sign up for the Patreon, check that out. If you want to know the history of the program and you want to hear me name names and bury a number of people, go ahead and sign up. Just $5.
Yeah.
Don't buy that Starbucks to see this morning.
Yeah.
Sign up for the Patreon.
Yes, I agree. All you got to do is not have one coffee. Make coffee at home.
And the reception has been amazing, by the way. People loved having you on there. They liked hearing both of us interact.
Aw.
Yeah,
Thank you.
people really like that. And Vanessa, this is going to be a little odd here.
Okay.
But
I'm used to it.
I need your response.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, this is going to get pretty heavy here.
Oh, okay.
It's going to get a little heavy here. So I will be honest here.
I'm ready.
As you're well aware, Vanessa, I'm out here in El Centro, California. That's way down south.
Yes. Hell Centro.
Hell Centro. You know how it is out here.
It's hot.
It's terrible. I don't like it.
No.
It is awful. Well, sometimes I do like it here in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't lie about that. But anyways.
You belong.
I belong in hell. That's true. All my friends are in hell. Just like the song says by Morrissey.
Wait,
very true.
You mentioned some cats that you have.
Oh, the stray cats. Yeah.
Yes.
I love them, by the way.
Good.
I have to be honest, even though I'm not supposed to be a cat lady man.
No.
I have to admit, I do like those little bastards running around out here.
I mean, every man loves a little pussy.
That's true. Men love pussy.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of pussy.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, no, K-Dub, he's angry. He's saying, Deacon is a cat lady. Oh, my God. No, I'm not. I promise.
No.
I promise.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Thank you, Arnold.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Vanessa, as you know, I'm living out here down south.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the last stop for most criminals and homeless folks and travelers. I don't live very far away from the Salton Sea. That's close to Salvation Mountain, which of course is
close to where Trevor lived in GTA 5.
I was just about to say that.
I said it first.
You did. GTA was actually on the ball with it, and I'm glad they did the whole recreation of the environment out here.
Yes.
But I'm about an hour away from all that. Okay. So what I was trying to say was we have a real problem out here in California, just like it is out there in San Francisco, which I forgot to ask Michael Aquino all about.
Is it homosexuals?
No. The homeless.
Oh.
Not the homosexuals. What was that all about?
I don't know. You said San Francisco. I went crazy.
You went there.
I don't know.
Amazing. So yes, we do have a bit of a homeless issue out here that goes on being ignored.
Yes.
What can we do with them? That is the question. Now, we can ship them out there to Oprah Winfrey's house. That'd be fantastic.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yes.
Just ship them all out there.
Yeah.
So anyways, Vanessa, we have a lot of homeless people out here in El Centro more than ever. And a few days back, I went to Vaughn's to grab something quick. And as I was leaving, I saw this woman sitting out there. And, you know, she looked like a panhandler.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Just looked like a regular panhandler. And she was on the younger side. About 20s or 30s. She didn't really look like a homeless person, more like just some dirty hitchhiker type.
Was she a tweaker?
Maybe a tweaker.
Okay.
So as I'm leaving, I see her out there and she's asking for money and all that with a little cup. So as I'm leaving, I go back into my car and grab $1 and some change and I go up to her, right? And she's sitting down and she looks up to me and she says, as soon as I give her the money, she goes, "Can I go with you?"
Oh.
Yeah.
Back home with you?
I don't know what that meant, but I instantly said, "Oh, no, that's okay." I responded right away. I was like, no.
Maybe she was a prostitute.
I don't think she was a prostitute.
No? That was a cheap prostitute.
But she looked up to me and she's like, "Can I go with you?" I was like, oh my God.
Nice.
I don't know what that meant. But she can't go with me.
No.
Yeah, that was no doubt weird, and I'm not into that sort of thing.
No.
I recall a few years back, there was this caller to another radio show who once talked about picking up homeless women and letting them shower in his place. And of course, he would sleep with them afterwards.
Oh, that's very desperate.
I'm not joking either. I'm not making this shit up.
It was amazing.
I mean, gosh, I don't even have the words.
This was such an extraordinary scene.
It really was. I'm not even joking. I wish I could be making this shit up.
Wow. But wasn't he scared of like diseases and stuff?
The caller seemed to have no fear.
Okay.
He had no fear whatsoever.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm too paranoid to pick up hookers or any of that stuff. Way too paranoid.
I mean, yeah, I'm not into that.
That was, yeah, see. So anyways, this caller, I thought he was joking at first, but this guy was really into this and he would detail everything. And it sure as hell didn't seem like he was trolling. And that got me into thinking, Vanessa, there must be other guys out there who are probably doing this sort of same thing.
I mean, at least it's nice, right?
I'm not a truck
shower.
I'm not a truck driver, but I wouldn't be doing this sort of thing. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, no. But I mean, at least they let them shower and maybe they give them a few dollars.
It was amazing.
I mean, it is amazing, Arnold.
I was getting laid a lot in this movie.
No.
Have you heard that one?
No, that's a commentary.
I was getting laid a lot in this movie.
He was getting laid a lot.
Wow.
That's not hard to believe.
Not at all.
That's not hard to believe at all. So yeah, there must be other guys out there who are picking up homeless women and taking them home and letting them shower, and then they bang them.
Yeah, honestly,
who does that?
But it's a nice thing. It's a nice gesture.
We have Asuka Langley in the chat room saying, "Pick up goth girls at the mall. They are clean 90% of the time."
Oh God, where like out of the Hot Topic?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is based. That's true. That is true.
Have you ever done that, Michael?
Picked up a goth girl from the mall.
Yeah.
No, can't say I
No?
have. No, that's not.
Not your thing?
I've gone to the mall with a girl who was goth, but
Okay,
I never picked up a girl at the mall though.
No.
I've never done that before. I'll be honest with you. Nah, I've never done that.
Yes.
It's not my cup of tea.
You like emo girls, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I was
I
getting
knew it.
laid a lot in this movie.
That's the only answer I have for you there.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, I'm thinking there's definitely other guys out there who are doing this sort of thing, but I definitely don't want to go down that route. Not my cup of tea, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, lots of people like using Tinder, and for our homosexual community out there, a Grinder.
Yeah.
Do you know any adult women, possibly married or single, who use Tinder, by the way, Vanessa?
Yes. I have sisters that use, well, I have one sister that she's tried, Match.com. I think she's tried Tinder as well. She's still single.
She's still single.
Yes, of course. And she's met some guys from there.
Did she?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they only wanted one thing.
She should have gone to christianmingle.com.
You know, she's religious this week, so maybe she should try that one.
She's religious now.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
What happened?
Yes.
Tell me what happened to her. Did some event happen where now she turned religious?
Well, she's late 30s and she has a son, and out of wedlock. I don't know.
Consider that a divorce.
Consider that a divorce. She doesn't have good luck with men. She really, really doesn't. And I think that God is her man.
That is and then one of the skeletons started moving. Eat me.
I'm not sure where that came from, by the way.
Me either.
I think that's DVD commentary from Arnold.
Yes. Oh my God. The best DVD commentary
Fat
from
old
Arnold
lady.
is Total Recall.
Fat old lady.
Yes.
Fat old lady. That's probably who called earlier.
Why is someone calling me a Valley girl in the chat?
I don't know.
I'm not a Valley girl at all. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I'm Hispanic.
That's true.
Yes.
And that's a good segue here. Also, on a side note, I had the misfortune of watching Beta Girls, Steven Crowder and Ben Shapiro. Two people who couldn't be any more annoying.
Oh, God.
They got the two most annoying human beings on the earth in one room.
Yes.
These Beta Girls, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro. Amazing.
Do you want to slap them?
I really do. They both have faces that you can punch.
Yes, I see that.
You notice that, by the way, that Steven Crowder, he has that face that you just want to pull his hair. And as you're pulling his hair up, you kind of just want to punch his face and also elbow his face.
Yeah.
It's really weird. So does Ben Shapiro. He also has that little face of his.
He bothers me, and his voice bothers me.
Oh, that voice.
Yes.
Oy vey.
Sí, hablo español.
That fucking voice.
Yes.
Yeah, terrible voice. Just fucking irritating voice. But anyways, I had the misfortune, Vanessa, of hearing these two Beta Girls talking to each other on each other's programs, by the way. It was like a simulcast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of pathetic, by the way. I mean, they couldn't even agree to be on one or the other show. They had to do a simulcast. I mean, that's beta. It really is.
Yeah.
Good Lord. So I'm hearing them talk, and
that's like a crossover episode, right?
Something like that. I'm not quite sure what it was, but it was just pretty strange to see that.
Okay.
Pretty strange. But yeah, we see these Beta Girls talking together, and of course they bring up Mario Lopez.
Yes, AC Slater.
AC Slater.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about some of the comments that he made. He took some backlash, if I understand, for recent comments that he made a couple months ago when he was interviewed by Candace Owens, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Candace Owens?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I saw the interview.
Oh, you saw the interview?
Yes.
Yeah, she's, well, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on her.
No, not at all. You have an opinion on everyone.
That's true. She just, I couldn't care any more couldn't care any less of her, rather.
Yes.
She kind of seems like an idiot. You don't think so?
You went from not having an opinion
to having an opinion.
She was an idiot. An idiot.
She's just useless. I mean, I don't know. I see her and I can't take her seriously at all. I think she's just a moron.
Yes.
She's just an idiot. I don't know. But anyway, she's talking to Mario Lopez, and he's taking some heat for what he said in a recent interview.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure if you you just said you caught that interview. And I have to say, I didn't have zero issues with what he said.
No, on the contrary, I think he spoke well. I mean, he's right. He's completely right. It is dangerous.
I don't have any issue with what the guy said at all.
You should tell them what we're talking about.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
I will. I'll tell them right now.
Okay.
I think for the most part, a lot of people do know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them know exactly what we're talking about here. But yes, Mario Lopez, as you know him from Saved by the Bell,
yes,
he made some comments that the mainstream media, they went nuts over.
Mm-hmm.
They really did. People got really bent out of shape about it. I couldn't believe it.
Yep. And he apologized.
That's another thing I don't get. Why did he apologize?
He said it was insensitive.
Well, he did say one thing that I thought he probably shouldn't have said.
Which part?
The part where he said that he was referring to his kids, that they don't kick it with those other kids. Maybe he should have left that part out.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I like that he has the balls to say what's on his mind, but at the same time, when the E channel is paying you the amount of money that they're paying him, you just need to keep your fucking mouth shut,
Yeah, but I like honesty, and I think
I like honesty too, but I'm not seeing millions of dollars either. If I was seeing that kind of money, I'd shut the fuck up too.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Word, he's not going to get a gig. That's the thing, he's tied into Hollywood, so he has to play by their rules. That means that Mario Lopez owes. If he went back on his word, that means that he owes a lot of people in Hollywood. That's what that was, ladies and gentlemen.
I think Hollywood forgives everyone. They forgave Mel Gibson.
Richard in the chat room says, to be honest, everyone was racist in the army, and it was great. That's what our boy Richard in the chat room is saying now.
Oh, okay. Okay, we're talking about racism now.
I have no idea, but I just thought
why does everything
his comment in here
leads to racism?
It always goes back to racism for some reason.
Yes, I don't know why.
I don't know why either. I'm colorblind.
Huh?
I only know about those who commit actions, really. Those are the only people I can judge.
Yes.
Unless you were a co-host of mine.
Patreon.
Patreon.com/Michael Deacon. Sign up, $5.
Yes.
So yes, I have nothing against the LGBTQ community. My God, that gets me tired just saying that, Vanessa.
Yeah, it's longer than that, I think.
Sorry.
Oh, Taco Bell.
It's too loud.
Is it time?
There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I apologize for that. I got carried away. But yes, the LGBTQ community, that's such a long thing. And I have to be honest with all of you, I have nothing against the gay community, and I don't live far from Palm Springs. And those who are in the gay community know all about that. So I just want to let it be known that I have no hate in my heart for the gay community out there.
No.
But I have to say, Mario Lopez was not wrong for his assessment. Again, perhaps he shouldn't have said the whole thing about the kids not playing with the other kids there. Maybe he could have left that out.
Yes, but he shouldn't have, he shouldn't have apologized.
That's another thing, though.
It's just so annoying. I hate that. I hate that people can't say anything without apologizing after. Just
No, I'm
why?
with you.
Yeah,
I don't get it. Don't get it at all.
yeah. I don't think he'll be fired though, since he apologized.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah, people will forget. I mean, people have probably already forgotten. It's done.
Oh, just look
Next.
at Kevin Spacey.
Oh God.
Hollywood
I
loves him.
always knew he was a pedophile. He has one of those faces.
I knew he was a little bit off ever since the movie American Beauty.
Yeah, but doesn't he have like a face? Like when you
A
look at him.
face.
Yeah, pedophiles have a face.
Well, they do have that sort of look.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm judging, but I think he had a face, and I was right. I was 100% right.
You were right on your assessment of the alleged pedophile.
Yes, I always knew it.
That is awful. It really is. And of course, Vanessa, there seems to be a crisis out there in the 305 in your area.
When is there not?
It says here on the recent news story, Florida just declared a public health emergency over its ballooning hepatitis A cases.
Oh God.
Ah, that's hepatitis A.
Yes.
Are you concerned?
No, because I try not
You
to
don't
leave
leave the
my
house. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, how do you know?
It's safe though. I mean, it's good that you don't leave the house, or else you'll get hep A.
Yeah,
Apparently.
I mean, I try not to leave the house, and now I have an excuse. I don't want to get Hep A.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I'm not shocked.
56 new cases of hepatitis A reported statewide in the week since the last reporting period.
That's actually really scary, to be honest.
It kind of is alarming. The number of reported hepatitis A cases in Florida in 2019 rose to 2,034.
Why do things have to happen here?
Shit, I don't know. It seems like a lot of things just kick off out there.
Yeah, a Zika.
Oh, the Zika virus, right?
Yes, Hep A, everything, zombies, everything starts here.
That's right. You're a smart motherfucker. That's right.
That's right.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, classic. You got to bring them up.
Yeah.
So yes, lots of dangerous things going on out there in Florida. And we do have a call here, Vanessa.
Yay, I love calls.
It is. I know. It's fun, right? We do have the buzzing going off. And caller, what's going on?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Are we doing this again?
Up as the
Oh, no.
yeah, we're doing this again. I thought it's not the same person.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm sorry about that. I had you on mute, so we couldn't really hear what you just said. And I do apologize for that. I just want to say thank you for calling in.
That's okay.
What's going on?
Well, I thought I'd call in since you basically scared the crap out of everybody else tonight and offer myself up as
Wait, what do you mean I
your
scared?
next victim.
Who did I scare?
Everyone.
Oh, you scared everyone. Vanessa, I'm so glad that
I
you
scared
called me
Vanessa?
out on that just a little bit. No, not Vanessa.
Yeah.
You scared
Not me, 'cause
everyone
I'm
else.
used
No
to
one
him.
wants to call in right now.
I got everyone scared. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did.
That's okay.
I'm
we love
sorry.
you anyway.
I-
And by the
I
way, the
apologize.
show was wonderful.
I apologize. I'm sorry if I scared anyone out there.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't scare me too
I didn't
much.
I didn't
I'm
mean
here.
I didn't mean it. Come on now.
I made him feel bad. Do I
Anytime
get a point for that, Vanessa?
anytime I'm mean,
Yes.
it's not in all seriousness. Come on.
No, he doesn't
no,
mean it, but-
honestly,
but
I
you-
don't think that you were being mean. I think that it was a time for seriousness, and you got goofy instead.
I got
Some
goofy.
people don't know how to flip the switch when appropriate. So, more of that.
Yeah. I'm just going to go with you.
Okay.
I
sounds
think you're
good.
right. Yes.
I'm going to say he was kind of mean.
I was kind of mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll leave that to Vanessa. Vanessa can balance you out. Your official Florida correspondent. I love it.
Oh,
Right.
wow. Thank
So-
you. Wow, how official.
I think you have a magnificent radio voice, by the way, Vanessa.
Oh,
Keep it
thank
going,
you.
girl.
She does a great job, right?
Aw, thank
She
you.
does. She does. I mean, she is like your Robin Quivers.
I was going to say she's
She's-
kind of like Robin.
Yeah, a little bit, I think. I followed
except
him
not black.
from early on, and I loved Robin more than Howard most of the time.
A lot of people
I'll
did.
PayPal you $20 later.
So, I did have a specific sort of question for Vanessa. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm known as the Evening Star in the chat.
Evening Star, that's right. There you are.
Yeah, here I am. And I wanted to know if it was okay to ask Vanessa a couple questions about Florida because
you can ask her.
Here,
you can ask her any questions you want, but I do have a question for you.
Okay. Well, go right ahead.
By the way, Evening Star, did you think that I was being mean to that female that called in earlier?
No, I was being tongue-in-cheek. I am so sarcastic that most people don't pick up on it until they're looking at me and they're going, "Oh no, did I offend you?" And I'm inwardly going, "Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that."
Well, here I have to tell you. Well, here I have to tell you that we want to offend you. That's the purpose.
Oh no.
Well, then I would fit right in because I'm like a type A, thick-skinned.
What's the point of being nice all the time? Who the fuck cares?
I'm completely opposite. I get offended.
I mean, you gotta
a really good point.
You gotta understand. You gotta understand this, by the way, Evening Star. I'll be honest with you. No one gives a fuck about positive comments. If you're complimenting someone, oh, you're so this, you're so that. I mean, no one gives a fuck. The opinions only matter once it's negative. That's when people care. That's when people will notice because people get their ass kissed so much. So anytime they hear compliments, like fuck all. Who gives a shit if you complimented me? It's always if you say something mean, that's when you grab someone's attention.
You know what? You're totally right.
Well, you wake them up. You wake them up.
Amazing.
And that brings up a really, really point of irritation that I have, and it's all about disingenuous people, if that's the right way to pronounce it.
I hope I piss people off, by the way. That's why I'm here.
You don't always.
Not always, but I want to.
People that want to expand their mindset and grow outside of their comfort zone need to be shaken up a little bit.
That's right.
And these type of shows, that's what it's all about. It's get outside of your comfort zone, go outside of what you think you know about life as we live it, and look at how things look at reality. And as far as disingenuous people go, I have always wanted to rip their masks off with war paint on my face, glistening in the firelight, and just like stomping on them at the same time. Just rip all their masks off. I just can't stand that. It's a pet peeve.
I think it's a pet peeve for a lot of people out there. You're not alone.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
I grew up. I'm like pushing 50, so I grew up in the time where everything wasn't so politically correct. I know we're kind of like beating that term a dead horse, but it's really true.
It's true. I mean, it's very irritating, by the way, the whole PC bullshit. It's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
It sure is. So, well, anyway, I digress. So I wanted to know if I could ask Vanessa a little bit about Florida.
Do your thing.
Because I am having a hell of a time adjusting to the culture shock here. I mean, the people are just, it's like once you cross Jacksonville and you come into Florida, it's like being in a completely different country all on its own. Not to mention everything that tries to kill and eat you down here. How do you cope? I mean, seriously, what do you do? What are the things that you actually like to do that keep your sanity here? Because I feel so isolated.
Handle it, Vanessa. Go ahead.
Well, I live in Miami, which is pretty much a third world country. And I mean, honestly, it is very weird and people are very rude. I go out at night to avoid people because people are so rude and people are very like angry all the time. I have no advice because I'm still trying to figure that out myself and I've lived here my whole life. But honestly, you have to come to Florida to really understand it. People are it's like a different world.
Oh, I miss the New Jersey, New York. Yeah, the culture. I mean, like, have you been to like some of the museums or anything, like the Salvador Dali Museum?
No,
have you like traveled and looked at? No.
I mean, because I live in Miami. I don't know where you are.
Well, it's more. I'm up in East Side, Treasure Coast, like kind of like in between Orlando and Jupiter.
Jupiter.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm like,
I mean, I go to
yeah.
Orlando, but only, when I go to, Disney or whatever. So it's a little different over there. What like, I don't know how to say.
Oh, you know what I did research that we do have? We do have Spooky Empire. That's a really good, that might be a really good venue. It's kind of like Comic-Con, but it's the horror side of it.
Oh,
that might be a good little venue for us to check out. There's one in Tampa, and then I found out there's another one in Orlando.
Yeah, because we don't have a lot of interesting things either. We have what people hear, which is like the beaches and Disney World. That's what everybody knows. But
I like
we don't
my
have
pasty white
exciting
skin. I want to keep my tattoos. I want to keep them fresh and looking good. I don't want to fry out there in the sun.
It's very hot, right?
Well, we're not very much help to each other at all. I thought maybe you'd have some advice on how to cope with all the country music and.
See, you live in a different part. I wish I lived in parts where there's country music. Over here, where I'm at, it's all Spanish music. It's we live in different. Florida's honestly like a different world. Michael thinks it's all like, like the news, like redneck and like people without teeth, but he doesn't know that in Miami.
You mean it's not?
No, not in Miami.
I'm shocked.
That kind of scares the crap out of me.
Amazing.
No, Miami's not like that at all. Miami's very like fast paced. Everybody's like in their own world, but like very mean. It's very different. There's
you would
so
hate
many.
New Jersey then.
Just hang in there, baby. You're doing great. I'm proud of you.
That's the kind of advice I have for her, by the way.
Just hang in there, baby. You're doing great. I'm proud of you.
There's a lot of different kinds of like Hispanic people. There's Cubans. There's Puerto Ricans. There's Mexicans. There's Hondurans. There's so many people.
You got the Puerto Ricans out there.
The Haitians. Oh,
we have everything.
Yeah, Haitians. It's like the melting pot down here.
I haven't talked to a Puerto Rican in years. They're almost extinct out here in El Centro.
No, not here. Here we have everything.
We got a lot of white people, a lot of black people, Hispanics, since we're close to Mexico. And we got some Cubans on here too, but not many Puerto Ricans.
No, we have that here. We have Nicaraguenses.
You got that out there? Wow.
We have everything.
Vanessa, Michael is right about
I ain't threatening you.
some of his fears. We got a lot of skinheads where I'm at. It's kind of scary.
See, you live in a different part. You live in the part where, like, when you're traveling over there, like, it's like the Bible Belt, right? Sort of, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not.
It's a little
not
rough.
here. Not here.
But I don't want that.
Thanks for joining us, Samuel Jackson.
Well, thanks for listening to me. And if you have any more tips, just throw them out there. I'll be listening.
Shut the fuck up!
What is he doing?
Amazing.
No problem.
I'm sorry I couldn't be helpful. I mean, come to Miami. Maybe you like Miami, and maybe I should go where you are.
I know where exactly are you?
Up in Palm Bay.
You're okay.
Palm Bay, okay.
Palm Bay.
What I do hate about Florida, and I'm pretty sure you agree, Florida is like, to leave Florida is like 10 hours. It's like I'm stuck here. That's how I feel. I feel stuck in Florida.
Stuck in hell.
It's to get out of here, it's 10 hours. Could you imagine? That's like hell. Like you're climbing out.
Yeah, it's about 4.5 for me.
Pretty annoying.
It's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful.
Yeah, and I travel to like make extra money. I'm an artist, so I go to like different trade shows and stuff.
Wait a minute, you're an artist.
Yeah, I'm an artist. So for me to sell my product, I got to travel, all the way from New York, down through Florida.
Oh, damn.
And then I fly to Milwaukee or the other places. And the gas alone in a Hemi truck, it's insane.
It's pretty expensive.
Completely insane.
Yeah, I would have to imagine. And what kind of art are you dealing with here?
I am a glass blower.
Oh, sweet. So you're making bongs and shit. Hook it up.
I wish I went on the wagon about. I'm boring. I'm so boring.
Oh my God.
I went on the wagon about. I do miss pot a lot. a whole lot.
Why
But
can't you
I've been
come
on the wagon
back?
for about 20 years.
20 years?
Michael, stop corrupting
I'm
people.
almost 50, so.
Oh my
yeah.
God, you are missing out on so much.
Well, I did partake. I'm going to backtrack. I did partake in November, and let me tell you, the pot of this generation is not
Yeah.
the pot in the mid '80s. This is completely.
That's a major difference.
Michael, I said, well, I don't smoke either anymore. Like, I gave it all up because I get migraine headaches.
You gave it all up?
It's terrible. So I gave it all up.
Oh my God.
So anyway, I said, okay, maybe pot will help with the migraines and
Right.
a couple things going on. So I gave it a try, and
Yeah.
it was Thanksgiving. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, I'm taking a couple hits, and apparently what was given to me was very high in THC, and I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm taking a couple hits in front of the stove fan, the clock's there, and I'm like, I'm not feeling nothing. This ain't right. And the guy told me, you just take 2 or 3 hits and you wait. And that's not what I was used to. Again, my pot was like mid 80s, early 90s kind of stuff. So, yeah. So
Very, very
I
Nirvana.
smoked 3/4 of a whole joint in 15 minutes.
Nice.
And I said, well, let me turn the fan off. And I looked at the clock, and then I looked up at the fan. My hand was in midair for what I thought was like 5 seconds. Michael, I had my hands in the air.
Oh no. We lost her.
Oh, I was interested in her story.
Oh my God, so was I.
Well, she had her hands in the air, and what happened?
I know she had her hands in the air, and then what happened? That's what I was wondering. And then the phone went dead.
The cliffhanger.
Oh my God.
Did she like streak or something?
Did
I
that
wanna know
actually happen?
everything.
I know I was completely with the call, and then it dropped out.
God.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
What a tragedy.
That was. Wow. I feel like I'm missing something.
I know,
now.
me too. Now I feel empty and alone.
You're never alone, baby.
Oh, thank you. But now I'm filled with regrets here because what happened this time, ladies and gentlemen, the laptop actually shut down.
Oh, okay.
Holy shit, what happened there?
Oh, so it's your fault.
It is 100%. That time, all my fault there. The laptop, dead.
Oh, look, she's commenting in the chat.
Is she in the chat room? Oh, there
Yeah.
she is.
She put lost me.
Oh
It's
my God.
Michael's fault.
I apologize, Evening Star. Please call back in. The laptop is actually loading back up. I definitely want you to finish that story. Yeah, she's in the chat room. I see her now. Again,
I feel like she should come to Miami. I think she would really enjoy Miami, actually.
she should.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm on a secondary laptop here, connected through my laptop for those that are wondering. And, well, I don't know what happened there. The laptop just shut down and we lost the call.
Look at Boss Man. He says, get some new equipment. Boss Man, donate.
He's not wrong. He is not wrong. He is right about that. And yeah, go ahead, Evening Star. Give us a call back. We definitely want to hear the rest of that story. Don't leave us hanging here.
Okay.
Holy shit, right?
Okay. Yes, I am dying to know.
I know, I'm dying to know. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I'm what do you want to guess? Let's guess. I think she got naked.
You think she got
She put her-
naked?
She put her arms up and she got naked.
Boss man saying, pay your electric bill, Deacon. Well, if the electricity was out, you wouldn't be hearing me right now.
Yeah, Boss Man, come on.
Come on now. Give me a break.
Michael, I think you were rude to the first caller.
You think I give a fuck?
No, but I'm just saying, I feel
Not
like
at all.
you were rude. Yeah, I feel like you were rude.
Nah, they got what they deserved and needed.
Yeah.
No,
You were
sometimes
like,
people need it sometimes. People need to get talked down to and let them know what time it is.
yeah, you would be really, yeah, you're pretty mean. You're the one that leaves mean comments.
Gotta alpha people sometimes. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Alpha the shit out of that caller.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, but I mean, if you're going to call in, you have to play ball here. You have to drive it home. can't just stay on the line and say a word and then just stay quiet. I mean, no one wants that shit.
Okay.
Got to bring it home.
Yeah.
No more time for games here.
Why is Boss Man being an asshole?
I have no idea what his fucking problem is, but it's cool with me. I mean, if he has no sort of sense of how things sound, he must be tone deaf.
Maybe Boss Man should call in.
Maybe he should.
Or is he scared?
He's probably scared.
Oh,
I don't know. A lot of people seem to be scared, but yes, we're waiting for Evening Star here to call back in.
Yeah, I want to know the rest of her story.
I want to know.
Yes.
Can't keep us waiting here too long.
No.
Yeah, might have to check out here soon.
Yes.
Yeah, we only got like 20 minutes or so here.
Well, let's continue.
Yeah, let's continue here. Let's not harp on the past here. Let's move forward then.
Yes.
It's really the only thing we can do here.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And of course, Vanessa, I have to say.
She can't connect.
What do you mean?
She's commenting that she can't get through.
She can't get through?
No.
How the fuck can she not get through?
I don't know.
No, you can get through. The number's 760-332-8724.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to call in. The line is open. That number is 760-332-8724. Call in or not, it's all fair.
Yeah, anybody could call in. Call in.
Call in.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Yes. And yes, I'm still drinking. Can you tell?
Are you drinking, Vanessa?
I am.
I've been drinking, by the way.
It's Saturday night.
Been drinking for a long time.
Yeah.
Delicious IPA by Stone.
Shout out.
Great company. I wish they could sponsor the program. I've actually been to their establishment out there in Escondido.
Oh,
The
look
brewery.
at you speaking Espanol.
Well, I have to. Got to talk a little bit there. And of course, we do have a call here. I believe this is our friend Evening Star.
It is Evening Star. Sorry about that. It was my fault. I was dialing the wrong number. Can't even blame it on you.
Well, actually, it was my fault partially at the time because this laptop turned off. I don't think it was plugged in all the way.
So what's the last thing you remember hearing? So
Your arms were in the air.
3/4 and
Oh, yes.
then
Your arms were in the air.
yeah. So I about 3/4 of the way through of a really big fatty, and and my arms were in the air, and I'm going to shut the vent off above the stove because I don't want to stink the whole house up.
Stinky
And
bastard.
my arm is in the air for 8 minutes, and it felt like 2 seconds. And I looked at the clock and just started cracking up laughing. I sat down. I said, "Oh my God, this is not like the marijuana of my youth."
Not at all. It's a lot different, right?
Yeah, but what strain? Well, maybe I shouldn't be asking this on the radio or
You
whatever.
should.
But
You can.
what strain?
Michael's in
what
California.
strain would be good for like an intro? So it's like on the low THC side. I am totally ignorant of it now.
Well, it depends what kind of feeling you want to sort of chase after. I mean, if you want to feel lazy or if you want to feel energetic.
For me, an extreme. No. When I used to do jumping jacks and a strobe light and
Oh my God.
draw, and I used to think my most intense thought.
Have you by the way, have you ever smoked meth?
Oh my God. No.
Good thing you didn't because
Have you?
No, I haven't.
You think that just because she lives in Florida?
No, but I meant by the characteristics of the story. I was just trying to align her with one of my many drug stories from individuals who do a lot of drugs.
God, Michael.
A lot of drug users out here.
I apologize for him.
I'm friends with them.
Yeah, I am too. It's sad.
Oh, I'm not lying.
Oh no, the people I know, they do
I'm not
prescription
either.
drugs.
I have a lot of drug addicts here. I'm gonna lie to you.
Yeah, got a lot of people hooked on heroin that I know. It's deteriorating. It's just deteriorating.
I mean,
the families.
I mean, my uncle, he's slowly fading away as we speak right now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's terrible. I grew up with this guy. My uncle, he's not that much older than I am. And I grew up with him. I see him as a brother. And, every day when I go see him, it does kill me. I'm not going to lie. And he's fading away each day due to alcoholism. He's not even old. He's not that old. But he drank his liver away. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, be very careful with what poison you choose, folks.
Yeah, the two hardest things to withdraw from is alcohol and opiates.
And heroin, right?
Yeah.
Or opiates.
Yeah. I think the saddest thing is to see some of the sharpest, shrewdest, most intelligent minds just lose it all. They just throw it all away, and it just slowly gets stripped away from them.
That's life, right? It's crazy. I can't believe it.
Shouldn't be. Your mind should be the thing that you treasure the most about you.
True, but we don't see life through their eyes. That's the problem. They're all in their own little world. That's the bad thing. You never know what someone's thinking. Never know.
Everybody handles pain and disappointment differently.
Yeah.
Everybody goes into it for a different reason. So. Vanessa, have you had anyone?
I need another drink. You guys are bumming me out.
Are we bumming you up, Vanessa?
I need to get drunk. You guys are making me sad.
Hitting you with some reality here.
I'm a buzzkill.
Wow, that hit home too.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I just harshed everybody's buzz, didn't I? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Sometimes we got to take it there.
The chat room got quiet. Everyone.
Everyone's I'm like Debbie Downer.
Ooh, X-Files.
Well, Michael and Vanessa, I'm going to bid you adieu and say goodnight. And the show was wonderful. It's always really great hearing from Dr. Aquino. He's very interesting.
Yeah, wasn't that fun?
Yeah, it was. Well, fun? No, it was educational.
I had fun, but yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you're going to play with all of us in the chat room and you expect us to be serious when you have someone like that on, you got to remind us all to shift gears with you.
Well, sometimes I don't need to remind. Well, sometimes I don't. I shouldn't have to remind anyone out there, because sometimes I think some individuals just lack common sense.
Yeah.
There's a time to play and a time to be serious.
You're the fearless leader.
I have to be.
Help everyone along a little.
Sometimes I have to be
together. Don't lop their heads off.
But sometimes I have to. Sometimes I have to keep you in line. It's like herding cats.
Well, you do you. And with that, I will say good night. Thanks so much for hearing me out. You have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Thank you, Evening Star.
Love you.
Bye-bye,
Love
Vanessa. All hugs and kisses right back to both of you. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
And there goes Evening Star, a great caller. That was amazing, right?
She's super nice. I really like her.
I liked her.
Yeah, and she likes me, and no one ever likes me.
That's not true. That's not true.
I kid.
Liar, whore, and you know it. Liar, whore, and you know it.
Sorry.
Liar,
wow.
Whore.
Wow, Michael.
God, I went crazy.
Tell us how you really feel.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
But yeah. On a more positive note, I'm sorry to bring the audience down here.
Yeah, that got really sad, to be honest.
Really dark, right?
It was too much for a Saturday.
Yeah, I was trying to keep things light here, but things got all fucked up.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, things fuck up.
You're going to need to, bring it up for the end.
You're going to have to burn some sage here tonight. Things got all weird.
Yeah.
Oh, well, though, and Vanessa, by the way, I have to tell you, I've been getting emails about Owen Benjamin.
Oh, God.
Why? What the fuck?
What people like him.
Why are people emailing me about Owen Benjamin for?
I have no idea. Maybe they think you're a bear.
Who cares about my opinion on Owen Benjamin?
Yes. I like Owen Benjamin. I'm not going to lie.
I have nothing against him. Who, let him fucking do whatever he does,
Yeah. I'm
not into him. I'm not into him. I don't give a fuck about Owen Benjamin. I'll be realistic here, but at the same time, I'm not mad at him. Let him do what he has to do.
But what do the emails say exactly?
There's just people asking me what I think about Owen and about the moon landing and about this, and it's just like, what the fuck do you want me to say?
How you feel?
He's gonna do his thing, and and I like that. I like that he's out there saying what he wants to fucking say.
Yes, I agree.
I don't really care about his movies or what he does or if he actually means what he says. I don't really care.
I think he does.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the guy. I wish him well, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I hope nothing but the best for the guy, and I think he's doing a good job.
He is. I mean, he burns a lot of bridges, and I think that I like that because he's not scared.
I can, I can relate to that.
Yes.
I burn bridges all the time.
Yes.
I think I burned a lot of bridges here tonight.
You really did. First caller.
Don't really give a fuck though. New caller, old caller.
She never
care.
come back.
She doesn't need to come back. That's the thing. We can live just fine without 1, 2, 20, 30 of you.
Oh.
Don't give a fuck. There's a lot of people that listen to the show. So if we lose a few idiots, that's fine with me. I don't give a fuck.
Are you talking about Boss Man in the chat? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I love Boss Man, by the way.
I'm just kidding. We love everyone in the chat.
Boss Man is a good guy, by the way.
He is? Okay. He was fucking around, but
he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He likes to have fun in the chat room. And I appreciate that.
Okay.
I like people who enjoy the chat room. That's what the chat room's for.
I think the people that log into the chat room, they're dedicated
great.
People.
Oh, they're great. I love them.
Yeah, I love them too.
I dig that.
Yes.
I like that. So Vanessa, as we are winding down here, I do want to thank you for being a part of the program yet again. It was fun.
Yay. Thank you.
Wasn't that a great time? Did you have fun?
I always have fun.
Me too.
Yeah.
Jesus, it should be illegal to have this much fun.
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, I have a great time.
You guys bummed me out a little bit towards the end.
I know, you got all fucking sad and shit.
I did. I was thinking about my family.
Oh my God. Were you really?
I actually really was, yes.
Oh no. Well, what's going on with the mom, Vanessa?
My mom? No, my mom is okay.
Okay.
I mean, family.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It gets rough.
Yeah.
It's a dog world. Sorry, it's a pun.
And I'm one of those that like I keep to myself. I don't like bother anyone. I don't talk to anybody, So I avoid like conflict. So
that's smart,
I try
though.
not to.
No, that's smart. I mean, if you avoid people, like I always say, people and friends, they're troublemakers, potential menaces.
Yeah. So I avoid everyone. I do. And
Smart.
Yeah.
Good job. Keep it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me. No worries, Vanessa. I definitely think you're doing the right thing, and I do want to thank you tremendously again for being a part of the program. It was pretty goddamn fun here.
Yes, thank you.
I loved it.
I loved it too. Thank you.
Yes, Vanessa, definitely say goodnight to the listeners, and again, thank you so much for being a part of the program. It was amazing, and Vanessa, we definitely have to do another episode together.
Yes. Good night, everyone. Love you. I'll be back.
Ooh, Terminator.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Faux show.
Yes.
All right, Vanessa, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you again on the other side.
Okay, good night.
All right, good night. Bye-bye. And there she goes, ladies and gentlemen. That was Vanessa, the official Florida correspondent. She did a great job, right? Do want to thank the first guest, Michael Aquino, Dr. Michael Aquino, and also special thank you to Mr. E.A. Koetting. He did a great job, right? I thought he did fantastic. Did a great job co-hosting the program here. Asked a lot of great questions. No doubt. And of course, I do want to thank all of you out there, tip my hat off to you for hanging out here and listening to the program. That was fun. And of course, if you are a hardcore listener and want to hear bonus content of the program, make sure you head on over to patreon.com/Michael Deacon. Oh yes, go to patreon.com/Michael Deacon. For just $5, you'll get some bonus content. I will be supplying you with the digital crack, as they say on the streets, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, please go to michaeldeacon.com on the right-hand side of your screen and donate, either PayPal or through Patreon. $5. Extra bonus content. Oh yeah. For those hardcore listeners out there, I do detail all the gruesome facts about this program, behind the scenes, all the bullshit I had to go through just to get this fucking show off the air, or on the air rather. And that's another thing I do want to mention here. On the radio, off the radio, that is the story of my life. From radio station to small shitty radio station, this program does exist every now and then. Much love to those in the Dallas, Texas area who would air the show on air on terrestrial radio through a pirate radio station. I fucking thank all of you out there tremendously. That is amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you out there to the Fringe FM and Deprogrammed Radio. And of course, you in the chat room. Love you very much. I'm Michael Deacon. And thanks for being here tonight. And with that said, the world is a mysterious place, and life itself is a mystery. Until next time, good night, everybody.